When Uchiha Huang snapped his eyes open, the familiar scent of Konoha lingered at the tip of his nose. The rain-washed fragrance of grass mingled with damp earth. In the next instant, however, a violent headache surged over him like a tidal wave. Shards of his past life memories intertwined with the sensations of this life, forcing him to curl up involuntarily on the tatami. "Young Master Huangbin, you are awake." A clansman's low voice came from outside the door, carrying the distant aloof tone unique to the Uchiha clan. Huangbin raised a hand to rub his temples. The skin beneath his fingertips was delicate yet faintly cool. This 80-year-old child's body was utterly different from the physique of a Foundation Establishment third-layer cultivator he had possessed in his previous life. Forcing himself upright, he sat up and let his gaze fall on the bronze mirror in the corner of the room. In the mirror, the boy possessed the Uchiha clan's signature black hair and dark eyes. Yet when he focused his will, a faint hint of silver seemed to glimmer deep within his pupils. That was the lingering trace of the chaotic spiritual power from his past life, now faintly contending with the chakra of his Uchiha bloodline. "The Sharingan has not awakened yet," Huangbin murmured under his breath. In his past life memories, the Uchiha clan's Sharingan required intense emotional upheaval to open, yet what concerned him more at this moment was that chaotic force roiling within his body. The foundations of his past life cultivation prompted him to instinctively circulate the basic mental art of Xuanxiao Sect, attempting to smooth the spiritual energy within his meridians. Yet the moment he stirred even a wisp of spiritual energy, his chakra grew, as restless as a frightened beast. The collision of the two brought a sharp searing pain, cold sweat beating across his forehead. Just then hurried footsteps sounded outside the door, and the anxious voice of his younger brother Uchiha Sure called out, "Brother Huangbin, the clan head has summoned us to the council hall. He says there is an urgent mission." Huangbin drew in a deep breath, suppressing the surging power within him, then strode quickly out of the room. Inside the council hall, the core members of the Uchiha clan were already assembled. Clan head Uchiha Fugaku sat at the main seat, his expression grave. Traces of suspected Kirigakure shinobi have been discovered near Konoha's borders. They may pose a threat to the Uchiha outpost. We must dispatch a squad to investigate. Huangbin Shursui, you will accompany Itachi as support. This was Huangbin's first mission since his rebirth. Silently he followed behind Itachi, his gaze sweeping over the Konoha patrol shinobi along the way as he maintained a quiet vigilance. In his previous life, though a cultivator, he had studied the basic laws of the shinobi world through ancient texts. Konoha might proclaim the will of fire, yet the hidden conflict between the Uchiha clan and the village's higher-ups had long been surging beneath the surface. A single misstep could drag them into a deadly whirlpool. The reconnaissance mission proceeded smoothly at first, but when they reached the dense forests along the border, an unforeseen change erupted. The Kirigakure shinobi were not acting alone. They had brought with them a colossal beast, its entire body jet black, and its twin eyes glowing crimson. This creature had never appeared in any recorded bestiary of the shinobi world. The aura emanating from it resembled that of a spiritual beast from the cultivation realm, yet it carried a far more savage brutality. Be careful, its attacks are corrosive. In an instant, Itachi formed hand seals and unleashed fire-style great fireball technique, the roaring flames forcing the giant beast back. Seizing the moment, Shursui used the body flicker technique, attempting to circle behind the beast and strike. Yet the creature's tail lashed out suddenly, and the chakra-infused blow was absorbed by the black markings etched across its skin. Standing at the rear, Huangbin frowned, his brows knitting tightly together. He could clearly sense that the energy surging within the beast's body was not pure chakra, but rather infused with a strand of violent power akin to chaotic spiritual force, something no native creature of the shinobi world should possess. In his previous life, he had once followed his master into the Beast Valley of the cultivation realm, where the internal energy structures of the exotic beasts were strikingly similar to this. Just as Itachi's great fireball technique failed to land, once more Huangbin suddenly moved. He did not form hand seals, instead he gathered a wisp of chaotic spiritual power in his palm. His past life experience in close-quarters combat as a cultivator had taught him that against such heavily defended creatures long-range chakra attacks would have limited effect. Ha! Huangbin let out a low shout as the spiritual power in his palm transformed into a silver blade of light, thrusting toward a narrow gap between the black markings on the beast's hide. The instant the silver blade touched the markings, a crackling hiss resounded. The giant beast let out a pained roar, its massive body trembling violently. The chaotic spiritual power was suppressing its internal energy. Both Itachi and Shursui were momentarily stunned. They had never witnessed such an attack, devoid of any chakra fluctuation yet infused with an ancient and mysterious power. Huangbin seized the opportunity to gather spiritual power once more, aiming a strike at the beast's eyes. At that very moment, however, the creature suddenly opened its maw, spewing a black beam of energy directly toward him. "Brother Huangbin!" Shursui cried out, wanting to rush to his aid but too far away. Huangbin's pupils contracted sharply as he instinctively mobilized all of his chaotic spiritual power, condensing a semi-transparent silver barrier before him. The black beam slammed into the barrier with a deafening explosion. Cracks spiderwebbed across the silver surface, yet it ultimately held and blocked the attack. But as the barrier shattered, a tremendous backlash tore through Huangbin's meridian, sending waves of agony coursing through him. His chakra and chaotic spiritual power completely lost control, rampaging wildly within his channels. His vision went black as his body collapsed beyond his control. Just before his consciousness faded, he seemed to catch a glimpse of a blood-red gleam flashing across his eyes. That was the sign of the Sharingan's first awakening. Yet the silver spiritual light in his gaze did not dissipate. Instead, it intertwined with the crimson, forming a strange and formidable pattern. Huangbin. Shursui caught his collapsing brother, noticing the subtle tremor of Huangbin's eyelids and the crimson patterns in his eyes within which a faint silver radiance flowed. Itachi stepped to Huangbin's side, his brows drawn tight and his gaze filled with scrutiny. The power he just used was not chakra. Far off within the dense forest, a shadowy figure silently observed the scene, the corner of his mouth curling into a twisted smile. Chaotic spiritual power. As expected, the Uchiha clan harbors the secret of a cultivator. His consciousness plunged into an abyss within the icy darkness. Only the searing pain surging through his meridians reminded Huangbin that he was still alive. Chakra and chaotic spiritual energy continued to collide wildly within his meridians. Each impact felt like thousands of steel needles piercing his flesh, robbing him even of the strength to moan. At that moment, a hoarse yet strangely penetrating voice resounded from the depths of his consciousness. "Without warning, kid, are you awake?" Huangbin jolted, attempting to open his eyes, only to discover that his soul seemed imprisoned in darkness, forced to passively sense the presence of that voice. The voice, tinged with world-weariness yet laced with undeniable urgency, said, "Stop wasting your efforts. You are now in a state of soul-body separation. The body remains with the Konoha medical ninja while your consciousness drifts at the node of the Chaos Resonance Array." Chaos Resonance Array. Huangbin murmured within his consciousness as ancient knowledge of arrays from his previous immortal cultivation life was instantly awakened. He vaguely recalled that the Xuanxiao Sect had recorded a similar interdimensional resonance array designed to connect the core energy nodes of different worlds, but who then was the owner of that voice before him? "Who I am is unimportant. What matters is that you have now stepped into the grand chess game of the immortal cultivation world." The voice paused as though scrutinizing Huangbin's reaction, then continued, "That spirit beast earlier was a scout dispatched by Hundunge. Their origins, like yours, lie in the immortal cultivation realm, but they seek to claim the chaos source crystal of the ninja world as their own." Hundunge. Huangbin's heart tightened. In his past life, when he was betrayed, the cuffs of his fellow cultivators were embroidered with the vague chaos pattern, exactly the pattern that now faintly appeared on the shadowy figure. "Are you saying that the shadow is from Hundunge? Why would they target me? Target you? No, they are expecting you." The voice of the lingering soul, laced with derision, remarked, "The chaotic spiritual energy within you along with the just awakened Sharingan are the keys to unlocking the seal of the chaos source crystal. Hundunge had searched for a millennium, and at last they had found a vessel like you." Huangbin felt a chill spreading deep within his soul. Had his unique post-rebirth constitution been nothing but a meticulously crafted trap by others? Then what should I do? It is simple: follow the currents of the resonance array to locate the core of the seal. The lingering soul's voice softened suddenly, as if guiding a child. "I will help you organize your chaotic spiritual energy, fusing it with your chakra so that you may possess power surpassing that of any ninja." But remember, you must swiftly locate the seal node of the chaos source crystal, for if not, the chaotic killing aura will devour your sanity, turning you into a monster driven solely by bloodlust. As the lingering soul spoke, a gentle silver energy suddenly surged into Huang Bin's consciousness, slowly intermingling with the raging chaotic spiritual energy within his body. The searing pain within his meridians gradually subsided, replaced by an unprecedented sense of fullness. Yet at the moment the energies intertwined, Huang Bin seemed to glimpse a flash of scarlet blood weaving with the silver energy, forming an eerie blood-silver pattern. "What is this?" Huang Bin exclaimed within his consciousness. "It is both power and a shackle," the lingering soul intoned mysteriously, "for the chaotic killing aura has begun to erode your soul. But fear not, if you heed my guidance you will be able to control that power, even harness it against those agents of Hundunge." As the lingering soul continued to streamline his spiritual energy, it divulged further information. "Do you know why the Uchiha clan is feared by Konoha? Because your bloodline was originally the product of modifications by ancient cultivators millennia ago. They attempted to infuse the power of the chaos source crystal into your veins, creating the perfect vessel. And you are the sole descendant to successfully awaken the Nin Taishio, and the only one capable of breaking the seal." Huang Bin felt his head buzzing as memories of his past life, the ordeals of his present, and the revelations from the lingering soul intertwined like countless threads. The annihilation of the Uchiha, the trepidation of Konoha's elite, the appearance of the shadow. Everything seemed to revolve around the chaos source crystal, with you at the very heart of this millennia-spanning conspiracy. "Remember, time is scarce," the lingering soul's voice gradually weakened, "for Hundunge has already planted its pawns within Konoha, and they will soon make their move on you. Find the Chaos Eye, the core key to the seal. It lies within the underground altar of the Uchiha ancestral land, visible only to one whose eyes bear the blood-silver pattern." No sooner had the words fallen than the silver energy deep within his consciousness turned furious, its gentle luster increasingly overpowered by a mounting scarlet hue that began to consume it. Huang Bin felt as if his soul were being torn apart. Excruciating pain forced a low involuntary moan. "Ah!" In the real world, in the medical ninja's infirmary, Huang Bin suddenly opened his eyes. The scarlet pattern in his eyes remained vivid, yet unlike before, the silver currents had acquired a faint tint of blood, and a trace of barely perceptible ferocity shone in his gaze. "Young Master Huang Bin, you are awake." Those of the Uchiha standing by the bed exclaimed in delight, but in the next moment were startled by the blood-silver pattern in Huang Bin's eyes, a pattern exuding a disquieting aura of killing intent. Huang Bin slowly sat up and observed his own palm. The chaotic spiritual energy there was no longer purely silver, but bore a scarlet pattern, even subtly exuding a killing aura. He could distinctly sense that the power within him was now several times greater than before his coma, yet concurrently an impulse to kill and destroy was also spreading in the depths of his heart. "The chaotic killing aura has already begun to erode you," Huang Bin murmured softly as the lingering soul's words echoed in his ears. "Find the Chaos Eye, or you will become a monster." At that moment the infirmary door was pushed open and Uchiha Jishui entered, carrying a bowl of medicinal soup. With a gentle smile, "Huang Bin, you are finally awake. This medicine was prepared by the clan leader to help restore your chakra." But when Jishu's gaze fell upon the blood-silver pattern in Huang Bin's eyes, his smile froze instantly. He had never seen such a Sharingan before, and the aura emanating from that pattern sent a tremor through the heart of a genius ninja. Huang Bin looked up at Jishui, a trace of inner struggle flickering in his gaze. He could feel that his closeness to Jishui was gradually being corroded by the killing aura within him. He suddenly clenched his fist, his nails digging deep into his palm, the pain momentarily suppressing his violent urge. "Jishui," Huang Bin's hoarse voice asked in the underground altar of the Uchiha ancestral land. "Is there something special there?" Jishui was momentarily taken aback, instinctively nodding. "Indeed there is. The clan leader said that the altar is a sacred site of the Uchiha ancestors, accessible only to the clan leader and elders." "Why are you asking this all of a sudden?" The blood-silver pattern in Huang Bin's eyes flickered subtly. He knew that he had no turning back. Either find the Chaos Eye and master the chaotic killing aura, or be consumed by it to become a puppet of Hundunge. "It's nothing," Huang Bin said quietly, averting his gaze to conceal the abnormality in his eyes. "I merely had a dream in which our ancestors guided me." Outside, the setting sun reddened the sky over Konoha, yet inside the infirmary the air grew increasingly oppressive. Huang Bin sensed a strange surveillance. A scout from Handan-ge had fixated upon him. And deep within his consciousness the lingering soul's voice seemed to echo, "Time is running out, kid." Jishui paused with the medicine bowl in his hand, a scarcely perceptible gravity flickering in his eyes. He set the bowl on the bedside table and deliberately slowed his voice. "Huang Bin, the altar is indeed the sacred site of the Yuzhiba. The clan chief said it holds the ancestors' mark of power capable of protecting the Yuzhiba. But what exactly it is I do not know. After all, only the clan chief and the elders are permitted to enter." Huang Bin lifted his gaze to Jishui. The blood-silver markings in his eyes shimmered faintly in the dim light. He could sense Jishui deliberately withholding something, yet the gravity was not aimed at him personally. It was more like reverence and apprehension toward the altar's secret. The insight of his former life as a cultivator into the human heart made him realize that pressing the matter now would only arouse Jishu's suspicion and might even reveal his own intent. "I just feel that I've been dreaming of the altar lately," Huang Bin said, casually lowering his eyelids as his fingertip tapped the bed's edge. In the dream, an ancestor's voice spoke of something hidden in the altar that can protect the clan. "Perhaps I'm overthinking it." Jishui fell silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on the blood-silver markings in Huang Bin's eyes. The crimson and silver that ran through them had deepened somewhat, and a faint malevolent aura seeped forth, pressing upon Jishui even though he was a ninja adept at reading emotions. "Perhaps not merely a dream," Jishui said quietly with caution. "The clan's old records do mention a strange light at the altar, but that was centuries ago. Huang Bin, your present state is unstable. You should rest and keep away from the altar." "Rest?" Huang Bin gave a bitter smile and summoned chaotic spiritual energy in his palm. The blood-silver energy flowed there, emitting a low, barely audible hiss that rippled the air. "Jishui, do you feel it? This force is devouring my reason. If I cannot find a remedy, I will soon become a monster that exists only to kill. The altar is my only hope." Jishui watched the struggle and pain in Huang Bin's eyes. His vigilance gave way little by little to concern. He knew of Huang Bin's uniqueness. 5 years before the clan's annihilation, Huang Bin displayed chakra control beyond his peers, even managing to resolve crises and missions by strange means. The blood-silver pupils in Huang Bin's eyes, despite their malice, radiated an ineffable sense of power, something far beyond an ordinary bloodline anomaly. "The entrance to the altar is behind the ancestral statue in the clan shrine," Jishui finally said, stressing the danger. "But the entrance is sealed by a chakra barrier that requires the clan chief's blood seal to open. Moreover, the altar is pervaded by a strange energy. Year-round clan ninja who enter feel dizzy and may even suffer hallucinations. Huang Bin, if you must go, be careful." "Thank you." Huang Bin looked earnestly at Jishui. A gentle silver passed through the blood-silver markings of his eyes, a vestige of the cultivator's instinctual trust in a comrade. "I will be careful. I will not let the clan or my fall into danger." After Jishui left, Huang Bin quickly shut the ward's door and sat cross-legged on the bed. He sank his consciousness inward. The chaotic spiritual energy in his meridians still collided with chakra, but guided by the remnant soul's method of combing, the clashes had slowed considerably. Yet the malevolent chi that eroded his reason grew denser, forming in the depths of his mind a blood-red whirlpool that ceaselessly swallowed his clarity. "Scouts of Handan-ge have likely already fixed upon me." Huang Bin opened his eyes. A piercing sanguine light flashed through the blood-silver markings, casting onto the ward wall for an instant a rune of the cultivation realm, the pattern of the Handan resonance array, and a warning of imminent danger. He knew he had to act swiftly. The remnant soul's warning that time was short was no hyperbole. Handan-ge would not grant him time to comb his spiritual energy, or master the malevolent chi. The eye of chaos within the altar might be the sole key to resolving this crisis. Over the next 2 days, Huang Bin remained shut in under the pretense of recuperating. Secretly drawing on memories from his past life as a cultivator, he began preparing the tools needed to infiltrate the altar. He melted the chakra metals common to Mai into small conical tips, used Handan's spiritual energy as a catalyst, and etched cultivation realm array-breaking runes onto their surfaces. These became the array-breaking cones capable of piercing the altar's barrier. At the same time, he forged from the remaining metal a concealment talisman. Though the materials of the ninja world limited its efficacy compared to the talismans of the cultivation realm, it could at least temporarily mask the scent of Hunnun's spiritual energy. During preparations, Huang Bin met his first obstruction. The array-breaking cone he had left in a drawer had been tampered with. Part of the runes at its tip had been deliberately erased, invisible unless examined closely. Huang Bin watched the ruined runes, a chill passed through the blood-silver markings in his eyes. Was it someone among Mui's leadership, or a pawn of Hunnun Ge? He re-etched the runes and adjusted the concealment talisman's array, enclosing the malevolent chi wholly within. Just as he completed the final step, a violent ripple rose within his consciousness. The remnant soul's voice sounded again, urgent: "Kid scouts of Hunnun Ge are already closing in on the Yaziba ancestral grounds. The altar seal is loosening, you must move tonight." Huang Bin sprang up, his blood-silver markings flared with intense sanguine light, and the ward's lamps flickered in response. He could feel the malevolent chi within him growing more violent, as the altar seal slackened, beginning even to erode his consciousness. "Tonight, the Yaziba ancestral grounds," Huang Bin whispered, the array-breaking cone at his fingertips glinting faintly silver. He knew it was a desperate gamble, betting that he could find the Eye of Chaos and master the malevolent chi, and that he could avoid Hunnun Ge's ambush and conceal his identity. Night deepened and Mui's streets quieted. Huang Bin donned a black ninja outfit, hid the array-breaking cone and concealment talisman at his waist, and slipped out. On the way to the Yaziba ancestral grounds, he deliberately avoided Mui's covert patrols, releasing a trace of Hunnun's spiritual energy masked by the concealment talisman. But as he neared the clan shrine, the blood-silver pupils in his eyes began to flutter uncontrollably. The wall again bore a rune of the cultivation realm, accompanied by a low hiss, the energy tremor released by a Hunnun Ge scout, resonating with the Hunnun's spiritual energy within him. Discovered. Huang Bin's pupils tightened. He stilled his presence and hid behind a pillar beside the shrine. In a nearby shadow, a familiar silhouette emerged, the same shadow that had controlled the spirit beast to assault Mui's border. The shadow seemed to sense something. It raised a hand, and a black energy spread toward the shrine, resonating with the energy emanating from the altar. Hunnun Ge's resonance probe. Huang Bin's chest tightened. The shadow was using energy resonance to confirm the altar's seal. If the shadow discerned evidence of tampering at the altar entrance, not only would he be exposed, the entire Yaziba clan could be plunged into peril. He drew a deep breath and forced calm. Hunnun's spiritual energy in his body flowed slowly along the remnant soul's combing method, temporarily suppressing the intrusion of malevolent chi. The blood-silver markings in his eyes steadied, though they still flickered with a dangerous light. Find the entrance first, then evade the shadow's probe. Huang Bin clenched the array-breaking cone at his waist and slowly approached the ancestral statue inside the shrine. The moment his hand touched the statue, its eyes flared crimson, and a blood-colored barrier erupted, engulfing him. "Who?" Voices of Yaziba clan members cried from outside the shrine. The barrier's disturbance had alarmed the guards. Huang Bin looked at the blood-red barrier and then at the approaching footsteps outside. The blood-silver markings in his eyes suddenly flared with strong light. Blood-red and silver interwove, and a hairline crack appeared on the barrier. Blood pupil. Rituous reflection. Huang Bin murmured. The cultivator instinct from his past life made him instantly grasp a new ability of his blood-silver eyes, to use the power of the pupils to momentarily weaken the barrier. But as the crack widened, the blood-red whirlpool in the depths of his mind spun wildly. A fierce urge to kill surged forth, the Hunnun malevolent chi driven mad by the barrier's disturbance. Huang Bin felt darkness descend his body, surged uncontrollably toward the fissure, the array-breaking cone in his palm glowing a fierce crimson as it pointed toward the altar's entrance. Footsteps drew closer outside the shrine, and the shadow's low laugh came from the dark. Found it. The vessel. The blood-red barrier contracted like a living thing, its crimson radiance reflecting in Huang Bin's eyes and intensifying the scarlet-silver traceries across his irises. Deep within his consciousness, a vortex of blood-red chaos whirled violently. Waves of turbid killing energy surged toward the crumbling ramparts of reason, while guttural bestial roars echoed in his ears, as if legions of vengeful spirits urged him: destroy, devour. No! I must not lose control. Huang Bin bit through his tongue, the searing pain momentarily suppressing the rampaging killing energy. He sensed the formation piercing all in his palm, resonating with the barrier's energy. Yet if he failed to shatter it, clan elders and the Shadow Division would arrive at the ancestral shrine within moments, and the Reniche stone steel buried deep within the altar held the key to all mysteries. Blood eyes. Reflect the altar. Huang Bin intoned lowly. The scarlet-silver traceries flared with blinding intensity, weaving blood light and silver into a fine luminous net that slammed mercilessly into the barrier's weakest point. His past life cultivation knowledge of formation arts, combined with the blood eye's unique power, caused fissures in the barrier to widen instantly. A searing pillar of light erupted skyward, piercing straight into the heart of the altar. Boom! At the moment the barrier shattered, a torrent of primordial chaotic energy erupted from the altar's entrance, engulfing Huang Bin entirely. His body struck the icy stone steps with a heavy thud. Stones tumbled nearby, and distant cries of panic rose from clan members outside the shrine. The barrier's disturbance had shattered the peace of the Uchiha ancestral lands forever. Huang Bin staggered upright, his scarlet-silver eyes still gleaming with dangerous light. He felt it. The chaotic energy within the altar was tenfold denser than outside. It flooded his body relentlessly, merging seamlessly with the chaotic spiritual energy coursing through his meridians, accelerating the killing energy's corrosive advance. His consciousness began to blur. Phantoms swirled before him. The betrayal by his fellow disciples of the Chaos Pavilion in his past life overlapped with the massacre of the Uchiha clan in this life, reality and illusion dissolving into one. Found you, the vessel. A cold voice emerged from the altar's depths. A shadow stepped slowly from the gloom, its black robes shimmering with runes of the Chaos Pavilion. His gaze locked onto Huang Bin's scarlet-silver eyes, greedy yet edged with an almost imperceptible wariness. After a millennium's wait, we have finally found one who can simultaneously bear chaotic spiritual energy and the Sharingan. Your power belongs to the Chaos Pavilion. Huang Bin tightened his grip on the formation, piercing all until his knuckles turned bone-white. The chaotic killing energy raged even more violently as the shadow approached, but Huang Bin forced himself to remain calm. His lingering soul fragment had warned him losing control to the killing energy was not merely peril, it was the very key to shattering boundaries. He marshaled his last vestiges of clarity, guiding the chaotic spiritual energy inward to draw the killing energy toward his pupils. Eye of boundary shattering. With that low command, the scarlet-silver traceries blazed with unprecedented brilliance. A beam of bloodlight lanced from his pupil, striking the altar's inner wall with devastating force. The wall cracked open, revealing a colossal Reniche stele. Its surface bore ancient cultivation script characters, and faint flickering images depicting scenes from 1,000 years past, robed cultivators performing bloodline refinement upon Uchiha ancestors while the shadow stood among them, eyes burning with fanatical fervor. That is, the truth from 1,000 years ago. Huang Bin stared at the steel's imagery, his awareness sharpened just slightly. He finally understood the Uchiha cursed eyes were not born of fate, but forged by cultivators, and the chaotic spiritual energy within him was none other than a fragmented shard of the chaos primordial crystal sealed millennia ago into the Uchiha bloodline. The shadow's face darkened as he watched Huang Bin's blood eyes, sensing that Huang Bin was now using the killing energy as a conduit to tear through the altar's energy veil, even beginning to perceive the core information embedded within the stele. This contradicted the Chaos Pavilion Master's prophecy, that the vessel would inevitably become a mindless puppet of the killing energy. Do not dare glimpse the truth. The shadow barked, the command, hands flashing through seals. Black formation lines surged upward from the altar floor, coalescing into a domain that ensnared Huang Bin. Within the domain, chaotic energy grew violently unstable, distorting space itself, slowing Huang Bin's movements to a crawl. Huang Bin felt as though countless steel needles pierced his flesh. Chaotic killing energy surged wildly along his meridians, dragging his consciousness once more into the blood-red vortex. Yet at that instant a single rune upon the steel flared. Gentle silver energy flowed from the stone into Huang Bin's eyes, the guardian brand left behind a millennium ago by the Uchiha ancestor who had participated in the refinement, capable of briefly suppressing the chaotic killing energy. Now, seizing the opening, Huang Bin's blood eyes blazed anew. Another beam of bloodlight lanced forth, striking the shadow's domain hidden. The blood eye's power fused with the guardian brand's silver energy, forging a razor-sharp ocular blade that cleaved through the domain's formation lines. Crack! The domain's fissures spread rapidly. The shadow's expression twisted in alarm. He recoiled sharply. But then, crimson light flared in Huang Bin's eyes, overwhelming him with surging bloodlust. The chaotic killing energy erupted beyond control. His body surged forward unbidden, the formation piercing all blazing crimson as it drove straight for the shadow's chest. No, stop. Huang Bin struggled desperately within his own mind, yet his limbs moved like those of a puppet utterly beyond his command. The scarlet-silver traceries contorted grotesquely, creeping outward from his eyes across his cheeks, etching jagged blood-colored sigils onto his skin. The shadow watched Huang Bin charge forward. Ecstasy flashed in his eyes. This was precisely what he desired, the exact moment Huang Bin fully succumbed to the killing energy, becoming its perfect host. Once Huang Bin was wholly consumed, the altar seal would loosen completely, allowing the Chaos Pavilion Master to descend into the ninja world via resonance array. Come forth, become the Chaos Pavilion's vessel. The shadow spread his arms wide. Black energy coalesced violently in his palms, ready to receive Huang Bin's sacrifice. Huang Bin closed the distance, his awl's tip already grazing the shadow's robe. Deep within his consciousness, memories of his past life as a cultivator clashed fiercely with the Uchiha bloodline of this life. He felt the chaos primordial crystal fragment fusing with the killing energy within him, a new power awakening. Yet his rational mind slipped away second by second. At the instant the awl was about to pierce the shadow, a faint glimmer of silver light flickered in Huang Bin's blood eyes, the final wisp of the guardian brand's energy. He twisted sharply. His awl scraped past the shadow's shoulder and plunged into the ground, sending shards of stone flying. I will never be anyone's puppet. Gritting his teeth, Huang Bin's scarlet-silver eyes blazed once more. A torrent of blood-tinged ocular energy erupted from his pupils, slamming directly into the Reniche steel. The steel's runes ignited instantly, bathing Huang Bin in a silvery radiance that formed a temporary shield against the killing energy's corrosion. The shadow stared at Huang Bin, wreathed in silver light. His face darkened. He had not anticipated Huang Bin could activate the Guardian brand's power even while teetering on the brink of total loss. Yet at that moment the steel emitted a deep resonant hum. Its runes spun rapidly, coalescing into a vast chaotic vortex. Deep within its maelstrom, a blurred, watchful eye began to open slowly. The Eye of Chaos awakens. The shadow's voice trembled with ecstatic greed. Boy, you may suppress the killing energy for now, but your fate as the vessel is sealed. The Chaos Pavilion Master will come to claim his offering. Huang Bin gazed into the vortex's emerging eye, his scarlet-silver traceries pulsing erratically. He sensed its power resonated with his own chaotic spiritual energy, yet carried a far more absolute, annihilating essence. Meanwhile, deep within his mind, the vortex of chaotic killing energy continued its frenzied spin, poised to swallow his reason whole. Outside the altar, the footsteps of Uchiha clansmen and Konoha's Umbu drew ever closer. Huang Bin looked upon the shadow, and then upon the Eye of Chaos stirring in the vortex. A fierce resolve burned in his gaze. Whether ahead lay annihilation or rebirth, he would seize mastery over his own destiny. The instant silver light enveloped his entire body. Huang Bin felt the violent, chaotic, malevolent chi surging within him, abruptly sealed away by an invisible barrier, his consciousness finally wrenched free from the crimson vortex. Yet this power arrived swiftly, and faded just as fast. The Guardian brand's energy was dissipating before his very eyes, and the crimson vortex deep within his mind stirred once more, restless and hungry. I cannot wait. I must awaken the chaotic art before the brand vanishes. Clenching his teeth, Huang Bin summoned the last vestiges of chaotic spiritual energy within him, guiding it along his meridians until it converged beneath his eyes. Fragments of his past life cultivation knowledge surged through his mind. The essence of I-Arts lay in precise control of energy, and the core of the chaotic I-Art was the fusion of chaotic spiritual energy with the silver flame seed, giving birth to an entirely new force, the I-Flame. He closed his eyes, sinking his awareness into the depths of his pupils. The blood-silver traceries resembled a desiccated riverbed, while the silver light flowed like a delicate stream, seeping slowly into those ancient channels. But the chaotic malevolent chi refused to yield. It coalesced into inky mist, lunging to devour the silver flame. Where the two forces collided, searing agony erupted behind his eyes as though countless steel needles pierced straight through his eyeballs. Condense the flame into the eyes, Huang Bin growled low, using his remaining chaotic spiritual energy as a catalyst to forcibly fuse the silver flame seed with the blood-silver traceries. In that instant, a blazing silver flame ignited deep within his pupils, spreading rapidly along the traceries. It was no ordinary fire, yet radiated scorching heat, incinerating the black mist utterly. Gradually the blood-silver traceries were consumed and transformed by the silver flame, becoming luminous silver flamens. The crimson hue receded from his irises, replaced by radiant silver, forging a pair of unique silver flame eyes. At that very moment the shadow's dark erosion formation intensified. Black formation runes rose from the ground like grasping vines coiling toward Huang Bin. Space within the domain warped violently, beginning to siphon surrounding chaotic energy itself, generating a crushing suction aimed at dragging him into the formation's core. You think you can trap me? Too late. Huang Bin snapped his eyes open, blinding radiance erupting from his silver flame eyes. He sensed it clearly. The chaotic eye art was awakening. His pupils now perceived the dark erosion formation's core with perfect clarity, a concealed crimson node hidden among the black runes, the domain's very energy nexus. Ignite the formation, shatter the boundary. Lifting his hand, Huang Bin unleashed two beams of silver light from his silver flame eyes. In midair they merged into a colossal vortex of flames, slamming directly into the formation's core node. The moment the silver flame touched the black runes, a sharp sizzling hiss filled the air, as if ice met inferno. The dark formation traceries melted and fractured visibly, while the warp space within the domain gradually stilled, returning to calm. The shadow's face paled. He recoiled instantly, hands weaving seals in frantic haste to reassemble the dark erosion formation's power. But at that precise moment Huang Bin's silver flame eyes locked onto his movements. The eye art's insight power revealed every nuance of the shadow's seal-forming gestures, even allowing him to anticipate the next flow of chakra. No! Huang Bin barked, gathering a sphere of silver flame in his palm. With the Taoist cultivator's true flame control art, he shaped the blaze, its form sharpening into a slender incandescent blade that shot forth along the exact trajectory of the shadow's seal, severing the chakra conduit at his fingertips with surgical precision. Af! The shadow screamed as black energy bled from his severed fingertip, the dark erosion formation collapsing entirely. Staring into Huang Bin's silver flame eyes, shock and bitter disbelief contorted his features. How is this possible? While your chaotic malevolent chi rages out of control, you still awakened an eye art, and even mastered spirit flame manipulation. Huang Bin gave no reply. The flames within his silver flame eyes burned ever brighter. He could feel his chaotic spiritual energy depleting rapidly, but the strength granted by the silver flame swelled his resolve. Raising his hand again, he condensed the silver flame into a blazing chain, hurling it fiercely toward the shadow. Where it passed, black energy vaporized completely, leaving behind a charred scar upon the stone floor. Seeing this, the shadow instantly erected a black barrier, desperate to block the fiery chain. Yet the silver flame's searing heat dissolved the barrier in moments. The chain coiled around him, its silver fire racing across his body, incinerating every trace of chaotic energy he commanded. No. This cannot be. The sect master of the chaotic pavilion will never forgive you. The shadow writhed, his flesh reeking of burnt meat as the silver flames ate through his black robes, revealing skin etched with the chaotic pavilion's sigils. Huang Bin watched the shadow's torment coldness flickering in his silver flame eyes. He knew the shadow was merely a pawn. The true mastermind remained hidden in the shadows. Yet at that very moment the crimson vortex deep within his consciousness began to spin anew. The chaotic malevolent chi temporarily suppressed by the eye art's awakening had not vanished. Instead it gathered strength, preparing for a far more devastating counteroffensive. Hold on, silver flame, just a little longer. Gritting his teeth, Huang Bin channeled his final reserves of chaotic spiritual energy. The flames in his silver flame eyes blazed with renewed ferocity, and the fiery chain tightened, binding the shadow immovably. He felt his strength ebbing rapidly, his limbs grew weak. The awakening of the chaotic eye art had drained him utterly. Beyond the altar the footsteps of Uchiha clansmen and Konoha Umbu drew nearer, Mikeyu's voice rang out clearly. Huang Bin! Are you inside? Seeing the approaching figures, the shadow let out a piercing shriek, and his body began to disintegrate rapidly. He existed only as a soul form. The silver flames burning was erasing him from existence. As dissolution neared, venom flashed in his eyes. The chaotic eye will consume you. The sect master of the chaotic pavilion will descend. His words ended, and his form dissolved entirely into black smoke consumed by the silver flame. But then, deep within the chaotic vortex carved upon the rune-engraved steel, a low resonant thunder echoed. From its heart the chaotic eye slowly opened, and a single blood-red gaze lanced forth, locking unerringly onto Huang Bin's silver flame eyes. The vessel has finally awakened its power. A deep oppressive voice reverberated throughout the altar, heavy with infinite authority. Huang Bin felt that gaze piercing through his silver flame barrier, seeking to breach his consciousness. Bad. The malevolent chi is surging back. Panic seized Huang Bin's heart. The silver flame in his eyes dimmed and guttered, his body swayed, exhaustion from the eye arts awakening the malevolent chi's resurgence, and the fading guardian brand had plunged him into unprecedented weakness. At the altar's entrance, Mikiyu appeared first. He took in the scene, the lingering black smoke, the scorched earth, and Huang Bin's silver flame eyes, their radiance already fading, and shock froze his expression. He rushed forward, catching Huang Bin just before he collapsed. Huang Bin! What's wrong? Huang Bin gazed at Mikiyu, his vision blurring. His silver flame eyes reverted to their original blood-silver traceries, though faint traces of silver still shimmered within the patterns. With great effort he spoke, his voice hoarse and ragged. The altar, the steel, beware the chaotic eye! And with those words consciousness slipped away entirely. Mikiyu stared at the unconscious Huang Bin, then turned to the rune steel, where the chaotic vortex was fading into silence. His expression hardened. He understood now the secrets buried within Huang Bin ran far deeper than he'd imagined, and the crisis facing the Uchiha clan had only just begun. Consciousness drifted like a feather plunging into boundless darkness. Hundun Shaki surged like a tidal wrath, intent on devouring Huang Bin's awareness utterly. Just as his reason teetered on the verge of dissolution, a faint silver light kindled deep within his mind, the remnant anchor of the silver fire, a solitary lamp that pierced the void. Where is this? Huang Bin whispered, taking in the blurred panorama. The silver glow congealed into a winding path. At its terminus came a low guttural roar and the crackle of flames. He walked the path as the scene resolved into an ancient battlefield, shattered Yuziba war fans strewn about the earth, stained blood-red by a black ichor. In the distance, figures garbed in cultivator robes fought fiercely with members of the Yuziba clan. At the field's center stood a colossal runestrin, steely, radiating a scarlet light identical to the monument he had seen upon the altar. Suddenly a silver silhouette appeared beside the steel, a Yuziba ancestor, the Xiaolunian, in his eyes flickering with complex lights. He watched his fighting kin, sorrow etched into his gaze, yet without hesitation he placed his palm upon the steel. With Yuziba blood I swear the Hundun oath, seal the Yuanjing, protect the clan to the oathbreaker, soul and spirit shall be annihilated. The ancestor's voice echoed across the battlefield as silver blood traced the steel's veins, weaving with the scarlet glow to form a vast silver sealing array. At that instant, cultivators of Hundun Gu unleashed furious howls. A shaft of black energy shot forth and pierced the ancestor's body. Yet the ancestor did not fall. He poured more blood into the steel. Blood oath brand bequeathed to future generations. Awakened ones with Tonghua, burn away the Hundun and guard our Yuziba lineage. No sooner had the words left his lips than his body dissolved into silver motes that seeped into the steel. The battle subsided, Yuziba clansmen collapsed, and the cultivators vanished into the dark with fragments of the monument. Huang Bin watched in stunned comprehension. He finally understood that the Yuziba clan's cursed eye was not a mere artificial contrivance but a protective brand left by an ancestor at the cost of blood and life. The Hundun spiritual energy within him was in truth fragments of the Hundun source crystal sealed by that ancestor, and his Shuyin Tong was the key to awakening the blood oath power. Who are you? A low voice asked. Huang Bin turned to see the Yuziba ancestor standing behind him, the Xiaolunian, in his eyes gradually taking on the aspect of a silver fire pupil. I am Yuziba Qianye, an ancestor who took part in the bloodline trial 1,000 years ago. The ancestor said, his voice worn with time. That you have fallen into this illusion proves you have awakened the Handan ocular art, and that a remnant of silver fire still lingers within you. But the Handan Shaki continues to erode your consciousness. If you cannot pass the blood oath trial, you will become a puppet of Handan Ge. A blood oath trial? Huang Bin asked. Yes. Yuziba Qianye raised a hand and a silver radiance enveloped him. The test is simple. Face Handan Ge's temptation and hold fast to the creed of protecting the clan. If you succeed, you shall obtain the blood oath power able to temporarily suppress Handan Shaki and to perceive the Yuanjing fragments lingering within the steel. If you fail, your consciousness will be devoured by the Shaki, and you will become Handan Ge's vessel. No sooner had the words fallen than the scene shifted. Huang Bin found himself standing within a resplendent hall. The Lord of Handan Ge sat enthroned, greed glittering in his eyes. Yuziba Huang Bin, your power belongs to Handan Ge, the Lord purred. Surrender the Yuanjing fragment within you, and I will bestow upon you cultivation might beyond the ninja world, making you its sovereign. The Yuziba people will gain eternal life because of you. Huang Bin stared at the Lord as memories pierced his mind. The altar's shadows screamed the anxieties of Yuziba clansmen and Mai Umbu, the struggles he had endured since his rebirth. He felt the Lord's promises were no empty lure. The Handan spiritual force within him writhed under the temptation, yet the silver fire anchored deep in his consciousness glimmered faintly, reminding him of the protective brand. Sovereign. Eternal life. Huang Bin sneered, the silver fire in his gaze brightening. Our Yuziba blood exists to protect our people, not to be yoked as someone else's puppet. I will not accept Handan Ge's temptation. At once the hall's gilded splendor dissolved, replaced by that ancient battlefield. Yuziba Qianye's figure reappeared, eyes filled with relief. Very well, you have passed the trial. He raised his hand and a silver light flowed into Huang Bin's mind. This is the blood oath power. It can temporarily suppress Handan Shaki and enable you to sense the Yuanjing fragments remaining within the steel. Remember, Tonghua is the fusion of Handan and silver fire, and it is the key to resisting Handan Ge. Only by awakening the true Handan ocular art can you safeguard the Yuziba bloodline. Huang Bin felt the Handan Shaki in the depths of his consciousness gradually recede while a warm silver energy flowed through his meridians. He looked at Yuziba Qianye and nodded solemnly. I will not fail the ancestors' hope. I will protect the Yuziba clan and stand against Handan Ge. Yuziba Qianye's figure faded and the battlefield blurred. Huang Bin could feel his awareness returning to reality, and his Shuang tongs seemed to bear a newly kindled silver halo. A chilling sensation surged up his spine as Huang Bin abruptly opened his eyes, still standing before the Uchiha ancestral altar, though the crimson radiance upon the stone steel had faded, leaving only faint black traceries. Itachi crouched beside him, brow furrowed, fingertips still shimmering with the residual glow of chakra. Huang Bin, you're awake. How do you feel? His voice carried quiet concern. He sensed the chaotic energy within Huang Bin gradually settling, yet that unfamiliar silvery energy unsettled him deeply. Huang Bin pushed himself upright, a soft silver halo slowly emerged across his blood-silver eyes like moonlight veiling his pupils. He shook his head about to speak, when suddenly a faint pulse emanated from the steely familiar, and its chaotic resonance yet laced with unexpected warmth, utterly distinct from the dark shadow energy of the Chaos Pavilion. The source crystal fragment, Huang Bin murmured. The silver halo sharpened his perception, allowing him to clearly see the flow of energy deep within the steel. There at the steel's core lay the fragment, encased in black sealing traceries identical to the blood oath brand left by Uchiha Uchiha within the illusionary realm. Itachi blinked in surprise and instinctively turned toward the steel. A source crystal fragment. You mean the steel conceals the Chaos Pavilion's power? Huang Bin nodded, then placed his palm upon the steel, the silver halo rippling from his fingertips onto its surface, resonating with the inner pulse. In an instant the black traceries glowed faintly, and within Huang Bin's consciousness the fragment's precise location materialized at the steel's center. A fist-sized hollow cradled a dark red crystal, its surface studded with shimmering silver motes. Yes, exactly here. Huang Bin withdrew his hand, the silver halo receded, his blood-silver eyes reverting to their ordinary form. though a faint silvery trace lingered deep within his irises. Our ancestors sealed the source crystal fragment with the blood oath, and the chaotic spiritual energy now coursing through me originates from that very fragment. Itachi stared at Huang Bin stunned, never imagining that the Uchiha ancestral secret intertwined with the ancient Chaos Pavilion, nor that Huang Bin could perceive the fragment's presence so acutely. Yet at that moment an unfamiliar energy surged from the steel, oppressive, volatile, unmistakably echoing the shadow energy of the Chaos Pavilion. Danger! Someone's coming! Itachi instantly stepped before Huang Bin, his Sharingan unfolding with quiet intensity, as he fixed his gaze upon the altar's entrance. Huang Bin felt it too, not the seductive allure of the Chaos Pavilion's master from the illusion, but something far more savage, a ravenous, devouring force. He knew, this was a scout dispatched by the Chaos Pavilion, drawn here by the ripple of the Blood Oath's awakening. We must leave, now. Huang Bin rose. Though his body remained weak, the Blood Oath's blessing temporarily stilled his chaotic malevolence, sharpening his clarity of thought. He sensed the source crystal fragment trembling faintly within the steel, as if responding to his proximity, yet this was no time to claim it. No sooner had they stepped beyond the altar than a black-cloaked figure appeared at its entrance, a cultivator draped in obsidian robes, eyes blazing with crimson light starkly contrasting Huang Bin's blood-silver eyes. Gazing at Huang Bin, the figure's lips curled into a cold smile. Vessel, you are indeed here. The Pavilion Master sends word the source crystal fragment belongs to the Chaos Pavilion. Huang Bin met his gaze, pupils narrowing. The man's power dwarfed that of the earlier shadows, his chaotic energy purer, denser. Once more the silver halo bloomed across his irises, revealing the flow of energy within the cloaked figure. Chaotic spiritual energy coiled tightly in his dantian, swirling into a vortex, the hallmark of the Chaos Pavilion's dark erosion art. If you wish to take the fragment, ask me first. Huang Bin raised his hand. Chaotic spiritual energy surged along his meridians, converging in his palm, where silver light began to blaze. The Blood Oath's strength suppressed his frailty, while the blood-silver eyes' heightened perception enabled him to anticipate the cloaked figure's strikes before they unfolded. The cloaked figure sneered, then thrust out his hand, releasing a torrent of black energy that coalesced into a colossal serpent, jaws agape, lunging toward Huang Bin. At that instant Huang Bin's blood-silver eyes flared, the silver halo condensing into a razor-thin filament, locking precisely onto the serpent's weakest node. Eye flame severance. He uttered low and sharp. The silver light in his palm transformed into a thread of incandescent flame, piercing the serpent's vulnerability. In a heartbeat the black serpent shrieked, its energy unraveling rapidly. Empowered by the Blood Oath, his ocular technique granted flawless precision. The silvery flame's purifying essence drastically weakened the chaotic energy's corrosive might. The cloaked figure's expression shifted, clearly unprepared for Huang Bin's overwhelming strength. He immediately formed hand seals, attempting to reassemble the dark erosion formation. But Itachi struck without warning, his Sharingan unleashing a potent genjutsu, momentarily ensnaring the cloaked figure. Huang Bin, go! Itachi shouted. He knew well in their current state direct confrontation with the Chaos Pavilion scout was unwinnable. Huang Bin nodded, casting one last glance at the steel. He could still feel the source crystal fragment pulsing faintly within, as if awaiting his return. He turned and followed Itachi from the altar, but deep within his eyes the silver halo lingered, and beneath his consciousness the Blood Oath thrummed softly, a solemn reminder the reckoning with the Chaos Pavilion had only just begun. A cool night breeze from my whispered across the stone pavements of the Uchiha clan territory. Jishui walked beside Huang Bin, his gaze drifting to the latter's eyes from time to time. The silver halo had faded, yet the silver trace deep within the pupils remained vivid, like an unhealed wound that nonetheless emanated a gentle power. Huang Bin, your eyes. Jishui finally could not hold back, his voice low. I once saw a similar account on the clan's forbidden scrolls. Huang Bin paused in his steps and turned to Jishui, surprise flickering in his eyes. Forbidden scrolls? What did they say? Jishui frowned as he recalled the scroll's contents. The scroll contains a prophecy. Blood eyes give rise to silver radiance to vow to protect all lives. At the time we all thought it was a metaphor for the Uchiha's future, but seeing your eyes now I suddenly feel the prophecy may speak not of the future but of you. He paused, voice grave. The scroll also says the Guardian will possess the power to shatter chaos and guard the bloodline, and your pupil flame happens to purify chaotic energy. Huang Bin fell silent. He remembered Yu Bo Qianyes' words and the illusion, the power of the blood oath, the shard of the origin crystal. Jishu's prophecy seemed to echo everything he had seen in that vision. Yet he also knew the Forbidden Scroll was the Ujibo clan's deepest secret, unknown in full even to the clan head. How could Jishui know this? Where is the scroll? Huang Bin asked, the silver trace in his eyes flickering. Jishui looked at him as if he had guessed the question. The scroll is hidden in the clan's secret chamber. Only successive clan heads and the Guardian may enter. But now, he hesitated, voice uncertain. I'm not sure the scroll remains safe. Recently the elders detected unfamiliar chakra fluctuations around the chamber and suspect an infiltrator. Huang Bin sensed a probing edge in Jishu's gaze as he spoke. Perhaps Jishui had perceived a connection between him and the Hundun Pavilion centuries past, and that the Guardian's identity might conceal a greater secret. I want to see the scroll, Huang Bin said firmly. The silver trace in his eyes spread into a faint halo. If the prophecy is true, it may help us find a way to oppose the Hundun Pavilion. Jishui studied the silver halo in Huang Bin's eyes and recalled how Huang Bin had used his pupil flame to pierce the shadow domain on the altar. He nodded. All right. They'll find a way to take you to the chamber. But we must avoid the elders. If the scroll has indeed been infiltrated, it could attract agents of the Hundun Pavilion. The two agreed, using the cover of night, to slip past clan patrols and make their way to the Ujibo clan's secret chamber. The chamber lay deep beneath the earth, sealed by a massive stone door carved with the Ujibo fan emblem. Faint chakra ripples still clung to the carving. Jishui raised his hand and formed the seal. A strand of dark chakra flowed from his fingertips into the stone door. The fan pattern glowed and the gateway slowly parted. Inside was a modest stone chamber. At its center sat an ancient wooden box etched with intricate runes which still exhaled a hint of chaotic energy. This is the Forbidden Scroll, Jishui said, pointing to the box with caution. The scroll was sealed with ancestral blood. Only those of Ujibo blood can perceive the seal. As for the scroll's contents, he paused, a flicker of puzzlement in his eyes. I have never been able to dispel the chaotic energy on it before, but now. Huang Bin stared at the box as the silver halo in his eyes flared. He felt the chaotic energy within the box resonate with the power of his blood oath, and the runes matched the blood oath brand on the stone tablet. Let me try. Huang Bin stepped forward and pressed his hand to the box. In an instant the silver halo cascaded along his fingertips onto the wood, intertwining with the chaotic energy of the runes. The chaotic energy on the box slowly dissipated, revealing the scroll inside. Its surface shimmered with silver light covered in dense script. At the very top was the prophecy Jishui had mentioned. Blood eyes give rise to silver radiance, to vow to protect all lives. Chaos appears, oath marks manifest, break the seal, guard the bloodline. But as Huang Bin prepared to read on, a crimson light suddenly flared from the bottom of the box. A ravenous glow identical to the energy of the Hundun Pavilion's shadow. Black patterns began to writhe across the chamber walls, identical to the dark erosion array from the altar. Not good. It's the mark of the Hundun Pavilion. Jishu's expression hardened. He stepped in front of Huang Bin as his Xiaolun Yen slowly opened. They infiltrated the chamber long ago, waiting for us. Huang Bin also sensed the danger. Chaotic energy in the box was rapidly coalescing, and the dark erosion array on the walls had begun to operate. Black energy surged like a tide. He felt his blood oath power resisting the dark array while simultaneously draining his bloodline's strength. The silver trace in his eyes dimmed. Pupil flame shield, Huang Bin shouted. Silver flames leapt from his palms and spread over his body, forming a protective dome. Yet the dark array's power was overwhelming. Cracks began to spider across the shield, while the crimson glow within the box intensified as if something was about to burst forth. At that moment Huang Bin suddenly felt the prophecy's words on the scroll begin to shimmer. Each character transformed into a shaft of silver light and flowed from the box into him. In an instant the silver trace in his eyes flared into a complete silver halo, and the power of his blood oath surged, momentarily suppressing the dark array's energy. Huang Bin, hurry. The words on the scroll can amplify your blood oath power. Jishui shouted. He felt the dark array's force weakening, but the crimson light in the box grew ever brighter, as if something was about to break free. Huang Bin nodded and concentrated, perceiving the scroll's script, each character like a surge of energy coursing through his meridians into the depths of his consciousness to meld with his blood oath power. The halo in his eyes widened into branching silver patterns while the blood oath brand deep within his mind began to slowly turn. Then the box split with a crack. A crimson figure lunged out, a cultivator in a scarlet robe, greed gleaming in his eyes. He looked at Huang Bin and curled his lips into a cold smile. Guardian, your power belongs to the Hundun Pavilion. Huang Bin watched the scarlet-robed man as the silver filaments in his eyes tightened. He knew this was a stronger agent of the Hundun Pavilion and that the mark on the box had merely been bait to lure them. And perhaps it was the prophecy on the scroll that the Hundun Pavilion truly sought. Qiying, clad in a crimson robe, vanished and reappeared like a phantom across the stone chamber, straight toward the wooden chest at its center, the forbidden art scroll. His eyes blazed with surging scarlet light as chaotic energy coalesced in his palm, manifesting into a colossal claw that lunged violently toward the scroll. The Guardian's prophecy shall serve the Chaos Pavilion, no matter the cost. Not while I stand. Huang Bin barked low. A silver halo flared instantly across his irises, and silvery flame erupted from his palms, arching into a shimmering crescent barrier that sealed the chest within its radiant embrace. The barrier collided with the chaotic claw in a searing hiss. Silver and obsidian energies writhed together, scattering rippling waves of raw power. Yet Qiying's strength far surpassed that of the earlier shadows. The crushing force of the claw strained the barrier until fine fractures spiderwebbed across its surface, and the silvery flame dimmed visibly. Huang Bin felt it, the blood oath power within him draining rapidly. The silver tracery beneath his eyes trembled faintly, overextending his ocular flame was accelerating the depletion of his bloodline's essence. Huang Bin, hold on! I'll pin him down! Jishui roared. His Sharingan spun wildly, the three tomo resolving into an intricate spiraling pattern. Genjutsu Mirror Heaven burst. An invisible wave of illusion pulsed outward from Jishui, instantly enveloping Qiying. His body froze mid-lunge, the scarlet glow in his eyes flickered erratically, as if ensnared in a dream. His movements slowed and the chaotic claw weakened. Seizing the opening, Huang Bin focused inward, channeling every remnant of his blood oath power. His silvery flame surged anew, reinforcing the barrier with blazing intensity. He sensed it still. The prophecy inscribed upon the scroll continued transmitting energy, yet the dark erosion formation responded to Qiying's resistance, its black sigils creeping across the walls until they formed a seamless enclosing circle, engulfing the entire chamber in suffocating containment. Spatial lockdown. Jishui's expression hardened instantly. His Sharingan confirmed it. The chamber had been severed from the outside world. No Shunshin escape, no chakra signal could penetrate its veil. He intensified his genjutsu, straining to prolong the illusion's grip. Within the dream, Qiying thrashed, bound yet burning with ever-deepening greed. Then, a guttural roar tore from his throat. Chaotic energy erupted violently within him, his chaos body defense activated, shattering the genjutsu wave like glass. Freed, he blurred forward once more, claw outstretched toward the silver barrier. Boom! The barrier detonated in thunderous resonance. Cracks exploded across its surface, and the silvery flame dissolved into fading embers. A cold smirk curled Qiying's lips as his hand reached for the forbidden art scroll. But in that instant, Huang Bin raised his palm, fine needle-thin silver flame coalescing there. Ocular flame boundary sunder. It lanced forth like a blade, striking true, piercing the very center of Qiying's palm. Qiying recoiled sharply, yet the flame grazed his fingertip, purging chaotic energy on contact and leaving behind a charred, smoking wound. You actually wounded me! A flash of disbelief crossed his eyes before he sealed his hands. On the walls, the dark erosion formation ignited to full fury, black energy coiling into serpentine chains that surged from every direction toward Huang Bin and Jishui. Dark erosion bind! Jishui instantly executed Shunshin, dragging Huang Bin aside, but the chains pursued with sentient precision. Huang Bin watched them close in. His silver halo contracted slightly as he focused, not on evasion, but on the prophecy glyphs upon the scroll. Each character blazed into existence as pure silver energy flowing along his meridians into his consciousness, reigniting his blood oath power, reforging his ocular flame. "Jishui, cover me!" Huang Bin shouted, and shot forward straight for the chest. He felt it, the source crystal fragment within the scroll trembling faintly, resonating with his approach, and as his ocular flame neared the scroll it steadied, burning brighter, purer than ever before. Jishui immediately formed seals, his Sharingan unleashing layered genjutsu pulses to disrupt Qi Ying's rhythm even as he darted through the chamber with Xuanxiao drawing the enemy's wrath away. Distracted by the illusions, Qi Ying faltered, unable to concentrate his assault, forced only to watch helpless as Huang Bin closed in on the chest. Huang Bin placed his palm upon the chest. Silvery flame coursed from his fingertips across the scroll's surface, merging with the prophecy glyphs. Instantly the characters flared, transforming into luminous silver rays that poured into his body. Across his irises the silver halo solidified into a flawless continuous sigil, and deep within his blood oath power surged to an unprecedented apex. Qi Ying sensed a shift, his face paled. Abandoning Jishui entirely, he blurred toward Huang Bin. "No! You shall not claim the scroll's power!" But Huang Bin whirled, palms igniting with a colossal inferno. Ocular flame, heaven-scorching conflagration. A pillar of silver fire erupted, hurtling toward Qi Ying. He hurled up a chaotic shield, but the moment flame met barrier the shield began dissolving, consumed like ash. He felt it, the purification of his chaos, the steady erosion of his strength. "Impossible!" He roared, attempting to reassemble his chaotic energy. Yet the dark erosion formation itself began unraveling, its black sigils fading from the walls as Huang Bin's power overwhelmed it. Defiance burned in his eyes, then with sudden resolve he drove a bolt of scarlet energy into the chest. It blazed violently, the forbidden art scroll shimmering, then dissolving slowly into radiant motes. "No, the scroll!" Jishui cried, lunging forward, but the scroll had already vanished into thin air, leaving only afterglow. Huang Bin stared at the empty chest. His silver sigil trembled faintly. He felt the scroll's power now woven into his consciousness, yet the scroll itself was gone. "Guardian!" Qi Ying's sneered voice echoing with cruel triumph. "The scroll's power is sealed within the soul erosion array. If you wish to reclaim it, you'll find me in the soul erosion hall." His words faded, and his form dissolved into swirling black mist, vanishing utterly. The dark erosion formation collapsed into silence. The chamber stilled, only a soft, lingering silver luminescence drifting through the air. Huang Bin gazed at the hollow chest. His silver sigil receded, the glow in his eyes dimmed. Exhaustion washed over him. His blood oath power spent, his limbs heavy with fatigue. "Huang Bin, are you all right?" Jishui stepped forward, steadying him, concern etched deeply in his gaze. Huang Bin shook his head, then turned inward, probing his mind. Though the scroll's power had fused with his consciousness, knowledge of the soul erosion array remained elusive, veiled in haze. He knew the scroll's disappearance was not an end but a threshold. And Qi Ying's threat meant one thing: he must locate the soul erosion hall, swiftly, and reclaim what was stolen. "The scroll may be gone, but its power resides within me." Huang Bin spoke, resolve hardening in his eyes. "And I sense its residual aura. It lies beneath the Uchiha ancestral lands." Jishui stared, astonishment flickering across his face. He hadn't expected Huang Bin to perceive such a precise location. Yet he knew the truth: the Soul Erosion Hall was the Chaos Pavilion's most fortified sanctum, perilous beyond reckoning. Two alone would never breach it. Then, deep within his consciousness, a pulse vibrated sharply, the fusion of scroll energy and blood oath power resonating with unmistakable direction, toward the wall. He approached the wall, pressed his palm against cold stone, and silvery flame spread like liquid light across its surface. Ancient runes glowed awake, revealing a concealed passage. "A passage here?" Jishui asked, bewildered. Huang Bin nodded, the silver sigil flaring once, its light confirming the scent of chaos emanating from within the scroll's lingering trace. He understood this passage was likely the sole path to the Soul Erosion Hall, the key to reclaiming the scroll and to confronting the Chaos Pavilion itself. "Let's go." Huang Bin stepped into the darkness first. Jishui followed closely, only the soft silvery radiance of his ocular flame cutting through the void illuminating the narrow way ahead. And at the passage's end, faint ominous ripples of chaotic energy stirred heralding the next trial. In the dark passageway silvery pupil flames emitted a faint glow illuminating the damp glistening stone walls ahead. Huang Bin led the way, silver traceries flickering subtly in his eyes as he sensed the chaotic aura emanating from the depths, growing ever denser, unmistakably the lingering resonance of the scroll. Jishui followed closely behind, his Sharingan remaining fully activated as he vigilantly scanned the surroundings. "Be careful, the path ahead conceals a trap." Huang Bin abruptly halted, the silver traceries in his eyes contracting as he detected an energy fluctuation ahead, a telltale confluence of chaotic energy and chakra, unmistakably the trap left by Qi-Ying. Jishui immediately stepped forward, his Sharingan locking onto the corridor's center, where a faint ripple of black energy shimmered seamlessly merged with the surrounding stone. A triple-layered formation binding erosion and illusion, interwoven so intricately that conventional methods will fail. Huang Bin nodded, focusing inward to sense his blood oath power. Depleted from earlier exertion in the sealed chamber, it had yet to fully recover, while this corridor's traps proved far more complex than the prior dark erosion array. He could feel the blood ward inscriptions embedded in the passageway's walls resonating with his blood oath power, channeling a gentle current along his meridians to form a faint crimson-hued protective barrier. "I'll dismantle the erosion array, you disrupt its core with genjutsu," Huang Bin said, gathering silvery pupil flame in his palm. "Remember, only simultaneous strikes from silver flame and illusion can expose the energy core. Never act alone." Jishui nodded. His Sharingan spun rapidly, the three tomo coalescing into an intricate spiraling pattern. "Genjutsu mirror heaven explosion." An invisible wave of illusion rippled outward, enveloping the trap zone. The formation's energy core trembled under the assault, its black energy fluctuations turning erratic and unstable. "No!" Huang Bin barked low, vanishing in a blur before surging toward the trap zone, his palm's silvery flame sharpening into a blade, striking with pinpoint precision at the most volatile point in the distortion. Yet, just as the silver flame neared the core, the trap detonated. Binding chains of black energy erupted from all directions, ensnaring both Huang Bin and Jishui. The erosion array began devouring their chakra, draining it at alarming speed, and the illusion array flooded their senses with phantoms. Qi-Ying stood at the corridor's end, holding the forbidden scroll, a cold, mocking smile playing on his lips. "Do not be deceived by illusions," Jishui shouted, unleashing multiple waves of genjutsu to destabilize the phantom constructs, while concentrating intently on the trap's shifting energy core. He sensed the core moving, its position shifting, constantly evading detection amid the illusionary turbulence. Huang Bin clenched his teeth, focusing deeply on his blood oath power. The silver traceries in his eyes contracted sharply as his crimson barrier flared outward, momentarily repelling the binding chains and corrosive energy. He felt the resonance of the blood ward inscriptions intensify, reinforcing the barrier, but simultaneously his bloodline power drained at an accelerating pace. "Pupil flame scorching heaven!" Huang Bin unleashed the technique again. Silver fire surged upward as a blazing pillar aimed directly at the trap's core. But the core, sensing imminent peril, vanished, while the illusory Qi-Ying's sneered voice dripping with contempt. "Futile. The core of a chaos trap disguises itself as ordinary stone. Only simultaneous assault by silver flame and genjutsu can force it to reveal itself." Huang Bin's expression hardened. He focused anew on the trap zone's energy signature. Beneath the genjutsu's interference, a faint chaotic pulse betrayed itself, hidden within a seemingly mundane stone block to the right. He instantly transmitted a mental command to Jishui. "The core lies within the third stone to our right. Lock it in place with genjutsu, then strike with silver flame." Jishui's swiftly formed hand seals his Sharingan, releasing a precise targeted wave of genjutsu, pinning the core immovably inside the stone. Seizing the moment, Huang Bin thrust his palm forward. The silvery pupil flame condensed into a slender needle-like blade, piercing the stone with flawless accuracy. SSSSS crack! The stone roared violently as its black energy dissipated, revealing the core beneath, a pulsating scarlet crystal radiating overwhelming chaotic aura. The moment the silvery flame touched the crystal, purification began. cracks spiderwebbed across its surface as it slowly fractured. Yet at that instant the core detonated with violent backlash. The trap's countermeasure triggered, unleashing shockwaves of chaotic energy hurtling straight toward Huang Bin and Ji Shui. Huang Bin focused instantly. The crimson barrier expanded once more, absorbing the blast. But fissures bloomed across its surface, and the silver traceries in his eyes dimmed perceptibly. Danger! The barrier is shattering! Ji Shui cried out, activating the body flicker technique to yank Huang Bin aside while simultaneously weaving genjutsu to suppress the core's retaliatory surge. Shielded by Ji Shui's maneuver, Huang Bin gathered his remaining blood oath power. Silvery pupil flame blazed anew. Pupil flame sundering the veil. The silver flame lanced forth like a divine blade, piercing the crystal clean through. It exploded instantly, shattering into wisps of black smoke that dissolved into the air. The binding erosion and illusion arrays collapsed in unison, and silence reclaimed the corridor. Huang Bin gazed upon the fading crystal, the silver traceries in his eyes gradually retracting. His body flooded with profound exhaustion, his bloodline power was nearly spent. He sensed the chaotic aura intensifying deeper within the passage, and the scroll's residual signature growing sharper, clearer. Huang Bin, are you all right? Ji Shui stepped forward, steadying him with quiet concern etched across his features. Huang Bin shook his head, turning inward to perceive the scroll's latent power, its resonance subtly replenishing his chakra, while the blood-ward inscriptions on the walls continued harmonizing with his blood oath power. Though the barrier had faded, the rate of bloodline depletion had slowed markedly. I'm fine, Huang Bin replied, his gaze hardening with resolve. The trap is broken, we press onward. He sensed the scroll's echo drawing nearer, while the thickening chaos at the corridor's end hinted at a far greater adversary awaiting them. They resumed their advance, yet barely 10 paces and obsidian sigils ignited along both walls. The second layer of the trap automatically triggered upon dissolution of the first, unleashing torrents of chaotic energy. Watch out! Ji Shui shouted, instantly deploying Sharingan genjutsu to deflect the incoming energy barrages. Huang Bin focused silvery pupil flame, coalescing anew in preparation to strike the sigil's nexus. At that very moment, a violent surge of chaotic energy erupted from the corridor's end, far stronger than Qi Ying's, as if something immense drew near. Huang Bin felt the scroll's resonance vibrate in harmony with that energy, and from the abyssal darkness ahead a pair of watchful eyes seemed to lock onto them. An enemy approaches, Huang Bin growled, silver traceries tightening in his gaze as he probed for the foe's location. Ji Shui tensed instantly, Sharingan blazing, ready to weave illusion at a heartbeat's notice. From the consuming darkness at the corridor's end a figure emerged, robed in flowing black eyes aglow with eerie emerald light. He regarded Huang Bin and Ji Shui with a chilling, knowing smile. Guardian, you have indeed arrived. But the power you bear now belongs to the Chaos Pavilion. Huang Bin stared at the black-robed cultivator, silver traceries trembling faintly in his eyes. He sensed this being's strength dwarfed Qi Ying's, and the corridor's sigils resonated in unison with the stranger's chaotic energy, causing the stone walls themselves to groan and fracture. Ji Shui, beware. His power commands the corridor itself. Huang Bin warned, channeling his blood oath power once more, silvery pupil flame igniting fiercely in his palms. He knew this battle would test them far beyond anything they had faced before. The master in the black robe stood at the end of the corridor, the eerie green glow in his eyes surging violently as the surrounding chaotic energy surged towards him like a tide, levitating the crumbling stones and forming barriers of energy. He looked at Huang Bin, a cold smile curling at the corners of his mouth. Guardian, the power within you rightfully belongs to the Chaos Pavilion. Give up your struggle. Huang Bin clenched his fists, the silver patterns in his eyes slightly contracting. He could sense that the master's power far surpassed that of Qi Ying, and the opponent seemed capable of manipulating the chaotic energy in the corridor, causing the runes on the corridor walls to activate, continuously forming waves of attacks. He focused his mind to sense the blood oath power within him, but the recent trap breaking had consumed too much, and the blood oath power had yet to recover, causing the silver flame in his eyes to dim. Huang Bin, hold him off, you look for an opportunity to attack. Ji Shui shouted, his Sharingan spinning rapidly, the three tomo converging into a complex pattern. Illusion technique Sharingan, mirror world explosion. An invisible wave of illusionary energy spread out, enveloping the master, attempting to interfere with his perception. The master snorted coldly, gathering a mass of eerie green chaotic energy in his palm, transforming it into a giant claw that struck fiercely towards Jishui. A mere trick! The moment the giant claw made contact with the illusionary wave, it dispersed the wave. Jishu's expression changed as he immediately used the body flicker technique to evade, yet the claw's power still shook his body, consuming a significant amount of chakra. The illusion technique has little effect on him. His chaotic true form can negate the interference of illusions, Jishui conveyed to Huang Bin, his eyes filled with grave concern. Huang Bin nodded, focusing his mind to sense the power of the scroll deep within his consciousness. The power of the scroll seemed to respond to his call, gradually merging with the blood oath power within him, forming a new source of energy. He could feel that the silver flame in his eyes seemed capable of resonating with the illusion, creating a new form of attack. Jishui, let's try a fusion attack, Huang Bin said, gathering silver flames in his palm. You use the illusion to interfere with his chaotic true form, while I will combine the flame with the illusion to form a domain that weakens his power. Jishui nodded, immediately focusing his mind to perceive the master's chaotic true form. The Sharingan could sense that the master's body was a phantom formed from condensed chaotic energy. Conventional attacks were ineffective, requiring first the illusion to break through defenses, followed by purification attacks. Illusion technique Sharingan, divine might. Jishui formed seals, and an invisible wave of illusionary energy spread out, enveloping the master's chaotic true form, attempting to isolate the true form from the surrounding chaotic energy. The master's expression changed, and he immediately condensed chaotic energy to form a shield, but the illusionary wave pierced through like fine needles, constantly stabbing at his shield, which began to show cracks. Now is the time, Huang Bin whispered, concentrating his mind to sense the new energy within him as the silver flames surged, merging with Jishu's illusionary wave. At that moment, a dazzling light of silver and eerie blue erupted in the corridor, forming a massive illusionary flame domain. The domain enveloped the master, and the eerie blue illusionary energy transformed into chains that firmly bound the master's chaotic true form, while the silver flames spread along the chains, rushing towards the master's shield. Under the assault of the illusionary flames, the shield began to dissolve rapidly. The master's complexion turned pale, and the eerie green glow in his eyes began to dim. Impossible! How could you break through the chaotic true form? The master roared in anger, gathering all his chaotic energy in an attempt to break free from the illusionary chains, but the illusionary flame domain continuously weakened his power, tightening the chains further while the silver flame grew stronger. Huang Bin focused his mind, sensing the new energy within him. The fusion of silver flames and illusion had formed a brand new power that could not only purify chaotic energy but also materialize illusions into offensive means, while the resonance of the scroll's power allowed his blood oath power to gradually recover. Illusionary flames burn heaven! Huang Bin shouted, and the silver flames in the illusionary flame domain instantly surged, transforming into pillars of fire that shot directly towards the master's chaotic true form. The master's face changed drastically, and he immediately condensed chaotic energy to form a shield, but the shield gradually shattered under the assault of the illusionary flames, while the eerie blue chains began to tighten, pressing against his true body. No! I will not lose! The master roared, trying to gather his last bit of strength, but at that moment Huang Bin suddenly focused his mind, condensing the new energy within him into a slender silver flame. Illusionary flame breakthrough! The silver flame transformed into a blade, accurately piercing through the master's chaotic true form. The master let out a scream, his body began to dissipate, and the eerie green glow in his eyes gradually faded. He looked at Huang Bin, a strange smile curling at the corners of his mouth. Guardian, do you think you have won? The plan of the Chaos Pavilion has already been set in motion, and the Lord of Chaos in the cultivation world will not spare you. The bloodline power of the ninja realm will ultimately become the nourishment for the Chaos Source Crystal. As soon as the words fell, the master's body transformed into black smoke and dissipated into the air. The chaotic energy in the corridor gradually faded, the runes on the walls dimmed, and the corridor returned to calm. Huang Bin looked at the dissipating master, the silver patterns in his eyes slightly trembling. He could sense that the power of the scroll seemed to be responding to the master's words. A memory of the Chaos Source Crystal surfaced deep within his consciousness. The The Chaos Source Crystal was a forbidden item in the cultivation world that could absorb various powers, and the bloodline power of the ninja realm was the key to activating the Source Crystal. The Chaos Pavilion's goal of collecting the bloodlines of the ninja realm was to activate the Source Crystal and control the entire ninja realm, while in the cultivation world there were even higher forces manipulating all of this. The true purpose of the Chaos Pavilion is to control the ninja realm. Zhishui stepped forward, his eyes full of shock. And there are higher forces in the cultivation world. Huang Bin nodded, concentrating his mind to sense the power of the scroll deep within his consciousness. The scroll not only revealed the intentions of the Chaos Pavilion, but also concealed the secret of the Bloodline Key. The power of the scroll could unlock the Chaos Secret Room in the Uchiha ancestral land where fragments of the Chaos Source Crystal were hidden. Only by obtaining the fragments could they stop the plans of the Chaos Pavilion. Though the Master was defeated, the plan of the Chaos Pavilion continues. Huang Bin said, a glimmer of determination flashing in his eyes. We must quickly find the Chaos Secret Room and obtain the crystal fragments, or the entire ninja realm will fall into crisis. At that moment the walls at the end of the corridor suddenly lit up with silver runes. These were signals resonating with the power of the scroll, the runes gradually forming a circular portal emitting a faint silver glow. Huang Bin could sense that behind the portal lay the Chaos Secret Room, and the lingering aura of the scroll was just on the other side of the portal. This is the entrance to the Chaos Secret Room, Huang Bin said, focusing his mind to sense the energy behind the portal. There seemed to be a powerful sealing force inside, along with fluctuations of chaotic energy indicating new dangers. Zhishui nodded, concentrating his spirit, keeping his Sharingan activated. No matter what is inside, we must go in. Huang Bin clenched his fists, the silver patterns in his eyes slightly contracting, concentrating his mind to sense the new power within him. The power of the illusionary flame was formidable, but the earlier consumption was also significant, and he needed to recover his chakra quickly. He knew that even stronger enemies awaited him in the Chaos Secret Room. The two exchanged glances, nodding simultaneously, and then walked towards the silver portal. As their figures vanished into the portal, it gradually closed the corridor, returning to darkness, leaving only a faint silver glow signaling that a new crisis was about to arrive. The silver portal slowly closed, and the figures of Huang Bin and Zhishui fell into a blood-red space. The stone walls around were engraved with the bloodline runes of the Uchiha ancestors, emanating a faint red light that resonated with the silver patterns in Huang Bin's eyes. Just as Zhishui was about to approach for a closer look, suddenly a fissure opened in the ground at the center of the space, and a dark red crystal slowly rose. Indeed, it was a fragment of the source crystal surrounded by a dense shield of chaotic energy. Be careful, the fragment is sealed, Huang Bin exclaimed in a low voice, focusing his senses on the energy surrounding the fragment. Chaotic energy intertwined with bloodline power, forming a formidable defense. A forced attack would trigger the backlash of the fragment. But at that moment the runes in the center of the space suddenly lit up, and a blood-colored light enveloped Huang Bin. Bloodline trial initiated. The Guardian must reenact the ancestors' blood oath or face the backlash from the source crystal fragment. As soon as the words fell, Huang Bin's vision blurred and the environment around him changed instantly. He found himself standing on a desolate battlefield surrounded by fallen Uchiha clansmen with black chaotic energy swirling in the sky. A familiar voice echoed in his ear. Huang Bin, do you pledge with your bloodline to protect the ninja world? It was the voice of the ancestor. Huang Bin's heart jolted as he focused his senses on the energy within the illusion. This was the test of the inner demon. If his heart wavered, the reenactment of the blood oath would fail. I am willing, Huang Bin shouted without hesitation, the silver patterns in his eyes slightly contracting as the power of the blood oath surged within him. But at that moment the chaotic energy in the illusion suddenly coalesced into a figure. It was the previously defeated master of the Soul Erosion Hall, wearing a cold smile. Guardian, do you truly wish to protect the ninja world? If protecting means sacrifice, and if your clansmen are harmed because of it, will you still persist? Huang Bin's expression changed as he focused his senses on the new power within him. He knew this was the trial of the inner demon, and the master's illusion would exploit his fears to create visions. He could feel the silver fire within him awakening, a power stemming from the same source replenishing his chakra. To protect the ninja world is not for sacrifice but for the future of my clan. I, Uchiha Huang, been pledged with my bloodline to protect the ninja world, to guard the Uchiha, and I will never back down. As soon as the words fell, the chaotic energy in the illusion erupted violently, transforming into black chains that charged toward Huang Bin. But at that moment the bloodline runes in the center of the space suddenly illuminated, and a dark red mark slowly emerged. This was the core mark of the Blood Oath reenactment. Now is the time. Huang Bin whispered, his figure flashing as he rushed toward the mark, the silver fire in his palm transforming into a blade precisely piercing toward the mark. The moment the mark was ignited, a dark red light spread out, forming a blood-colored halo that enveloped the entire illusion. But just as Huang Bin ignited the mark, the source crystal fragment suddenly released a powerful backlash energy. A wave of dark red chaotic energy surged toward Huang Bin. He could feel the bloodline power within him being repelled, and the silver patterns gradually dimmed. Huang Bin, focus! Ji Shu's voice echoed from outside the illusion, maintaining contact with Huang Bin through his Sharingan. The power of the Blood Oath can counter the backlash. Quickly use it to protect your bloodline. Huang Bin gritted his teeth, concentrating to sense the power of the Blood Oath within him. The Blood Oath shield instantly coalesced, blocking the impact of the backlash energy. He could feel the Blood Oath power merging with the silver fire, forming a silver barrier that gradually isolated the backlash energy. Illusory fire burning heaven! Huang Bin shouted, the silver fire in his palm combined with the power from the illusion, transforming into flames that charged toward the backlash energy. The flames collided with the chaotic energy, producing a sizzling sound as the backlash energy was gradually purified, but the chaotic energy shield surrounding the source crystal fragment grew stronger. It's not working, the energy of the shield is increasing. If we don't break it quickly, the bloodline power will be sealed when the time limit expires. Huang Bin focused his senses on the core mark. After being ignited, the mark began to emit a faint silver glow, resonating with Huang Bin's silver fire. To reenact the Blood Oath and ignite the mark is the key to breaking the shield. Huang Bin suddenly realized that the reenactment of the Blood Oath was not only a test but also the key to breaking the shield. He concentrated once again, gathering the power of the Blood Oath within him, the silver patterns in his eyes slightly contracting as the silver fire in his palm surged again. Blood Oath reignite! The silver flames transformed into a blade precisely piercing toward the core mark. The moment the mark was reignited, the dark red light surged, forming a massive blood-colored halo that enveloped the source crystal fragment. The chaotic energy shield surrounding the fragment began to gradually dissipate, and the backlash energy also weakened. But at that moment the chaotic energy in the illusion suddenly coalesced into a larger figure. It was a cultivator dressed in a crimson robe, his eyes gleaming with a ghostly green light reminiscent of the Soul Erosion Hall Master's gaze. Guardian, although you have passed the trial, the power of the Source Crystal will ultimately belong to the Chaos Pavilion. Huang Bin's expression changed as he focused his senses on the new power within him. He knew this was the final trial of the test. If he could defeat the crimson-robed figure, he could completely pass the trial. He concentrated, merging the silver fire within him with the power from the illusion, forming the illusory fire domain, illusory fire breaking the realm. The intertwined silver and ghostly blue light blossomed in the illusion, forming a massive domain that enveloped the crimson-robed figure. Within the domain, the ghostly blue illusion chains firmly bound the figure's body as the silver fire spread along the chains, charging toward its true form. The crimson-robed figure roared, gathering chaotic energy to form a shield, but the power of the illusion fire domain continuously weakened his shield while the silver fire grew stronger. Huang Bin concentrated, condensing the new energy within him into a slender silver flame. Illusory fire burning heaven! The silver flames transformed into a blade precisely piercing through the crimson-robed figure's shield, causing his body to gradually dissipate as the ghostly green light in his eyes dimmed. He looked at Huang Bin, a strange smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Guardian, you have won the trial, but the Lord of Chaos will not let you go. As the words fell, the crimson-robed figure's body turned into black smoke, and dissipated. The illusion began to crumble. Huang Bin could feel his bloodline power gradually recovering, and the silver patterns in his eyes became brighter. He focused his senses on the source crystal fragment. The chaotic energy shield surrounding the fragment had been lifted, and the dark red fragment emitted a faint glow. Huang Bin, you have succeeded. Jishu's voice came. The illusion dissipated, and Huang Bin's figure appeared in the blood-red space with the source crystal fragment floating before him. Huang Bin looked at the source crystal fragment before him, focusing his senses on its power. Within the fragment lay powerful chaotic energy, but there was also a faint bloodline mark that resonated with his blood oath power. He knew that after passing the trial he could absorb the fragment's power to further awaken the chaotic eye technique. But at that moment the source crystal fragment suddenly released a dark red light rushing toward his eyes. Source crystal resonance bloodline awakening. He could feel the power of the fragment merging with his bloodline power, the silver patterns in his eyes slightly contracting, gradually forming a complex pattern. This was the new form of the chaotic eye technique. He could feel his perception ability greatly enhanced, clearly sensing the chaotic energy and bloodline power in the space. Is this a new eye technique? Huang Bin exclaimed in surprise, focusing his senses on the power within him. The new eye technique not only purified chaotic energy, but also allowed him to sense the bloodline fluctuations of surrounding beings. But at that moment the walls of the blood-red space suddenly lit up with black runes. Those were the tracking runes of the Chaos Pavilion, emitting strong chaotic energy, seemingly summoning more powerful enemies. Huang Bin's expression changed as he focused his senses deep within the space. He could feel a force approaching that was stronger than the master of the Soul Erosion Hall. Not good, the reinforcements from the Chaos Pavilion have arrived. Jishui shouted immediately, using the illusion of his Sharingan to disrupt the energy of the runes. Huang Bin concentrated, absorbing the power of the source crystal fragment, the silver patterns in his eyes slightly contracting, forming a silver barrier to block the chaotic energy released by the runes. He knew that passing the trial was just the first step. Next he would face even stronger enemies, and the power of the source crystal fragment would be key to his fight against the Chaos Pavilion. Dark red source crystal fragments floated in the center of the blood-colored space. Chaotic energy surged towards Huang Bin like a tide, permeating through his pupils and blood vessels. Jishui focused his mind and stood guard, his double-hooked jade Sharingan fixed on the black runes surrounding the space, his fingertips already gathering chakra, ready to respond at any moment to the arrival of reinforcements from the chaotic pavilion. Huang Bin closed his eyes and concentrated, feeling the surging power within him. The residual warmth of the bloodline trial had not yet dissipated, and the chaotic energy from the source crystal fragments intertwined with the power of his blood oath coursing through his meridians. He could clearly see the trajectory of every thread of energy, as if the chaotic energy of the entire space had become the patterns beneath his gaze. Suddenly the silver patterns in his sight began to twist and reorganize, gradually forming a complex pattern interwoven with dark red and silver. Within the silver halo of his pupils 3 faint chaotic patterns appeared. Is this the awakened state of the chaotic eye technique? Huang Bin opened his eyes and his vision changed abruptly. The previously blurry black runes became incredibly clear, the chaotic energy fluctuations of each rune visible, even allowing him to sense the faint chakra fluctuations coming from behind the runes, a sign that reinforcements from the chaotic pavilion were about to arrive. At that moment the source crystal fragments suddenly trembled violently and a vague figure emerged from within the fragments. The figure wore a dark purple robe, the triple chaotic patterns beneath its eyes slowly rotating, surrounded by dense chaotic energy, as if all the darkness of the ninja world had converged upon it. The Lord of Chaos. Huang Bin's pupils constricted sharply, a sharp pain surged in his consciousness. The awakening of the chaotic eye technique allowed him to glimpse its true form while also triggering the projection perception of the Lord of Chaos. The voice of the projection echoed in the space like thunder, carrying an undeniable authority. Guardian, you dare to touch my power. The source crystal fragments rightfully belong to the chaotic pavilion. Your resistance is merely a futile struggle. Huang Bin focused his mind. The purification form of the chaotic eye technique activated instantly, silver light spreading from his eyes to form a barrier blocking the mental pressure of the Lord of Chaos. He could feel the power within him rapidly increasing, the chaotic energy from the source crystal fragments perfectly merging with the power of his blood oath, amplifying his total chakra severalfold. Is your goal to control the ninja world? Huang Bin asked solemnly while sensing the energy fluctuations of the Lord of Chaos projection trying to find its weakness. He could sense that the projection was not a physical entity but rather a phantom condensed from chaotic source crystals with a limited duration of existence. The projection of the Lord of Chaos curled its lips into a cold smile, raising its hand as a dark chaotic energy transformed into a giant claw rushing towards Huangbin. The ninja world is but nourishment for chaos, and the bloodline of Uchiha is the key to activating the source crystal. As a guardian, you are merely my vessel. Just as the giant claw was about to strike Huangbin, the chaotic patterns in his eyes suddenly contracted and the devour form of the chaotic eye technique activated instantly. At the moment the giant claw touched the eye technique barrier, the chaotic energy was slowly absorbed, transforming into Huangbin's own chakra. He could feel the power continuously growing, yet at the same time a tearing pain surged from deep within his bloodline. The devour form triggered a backlash from his bloodline. Not good, the backlash has begun. Ji Shui shouted, immediately performing illusion technique Sharingan Kamui, attempting to pull the projection of the Lord of Chaos into a time-space. However, the projection seemed to sense the fluctuations of the illusion technique. Its figure flickered and evaded the attack while gathering more chaotic energy, forming a massive energy vortex that enveloped the entire blood-colored space. Illusionary fire of the same origin, break the boundary. Huangbin shouted, concentrating his mind to combine the devour form with the power of the illusionary fire of the same origin. A great chaotic fire ring formed from the intertwining silver and dark red flames surged towards the energy vortex. At the moment the fire ring collided with the vortex, a deafening roar erupted. The stone walls of the blood-colored space began to collapse, and the black runes were purified by the flames, turning into specks of light dust. The projection of the Lord of Chaos expression changed, seemingly not expecting Huangbin to convert chaotic energy into offensive power. He raised his hand to condense a chaotic energy shield, but the power of the chaotic fire ring continuously weakened the shield, the silver flames spreading along the shield, rushing straight towards his true body. You dare to resist the Lord of Chaos? The projection roared, condensing all the chaotic energy to form a massive chaotic shockwave that rushed towards Huangbin. Huangbin focused his mind, alternating between the purification form and the devour form of the chaotic eye technique. The purification form weakened the chaotic energy of the shockwave, while the devour form absorbed part of the energy to transform into his own power, and at the same time the power of the illusionary fire of the same origin formed a barrier blocking most of the shockwave's attack. But at that moment Huangbin sensed that the backlash from his bloodline was becoming increasingly severe, the silver patterns gradually dimming, and his consciousness began to blur. He knew he had to end the battle quickly or the backlash would render him unable to fight. Ji Shui, interference with the illusion technique. Huangbin shouted, focusing his mind to sense the core of the projection of the Lord of Chaos. The awakening of the chaotic eye technique allowed him to clearly see the energy core of the projection, a dark red light point hidden in its chest. Ji Shui immediately nodded, his double-hooked jade Sharingan spinning rapidly, forming a complex illusion wave. Illusion technique Sharingan mirror world explosion. The illusion wave enveloped the projection of the Lord of Chaos, attempting to interfere with its perception, while exposing the projection's energy core to Huangbin's attack range. Now is the time. Huangbin whispered, concentrating his mind to combine the devour form of the chaotic eye technique with the power of the illusionary fire of the same origin, forming a slender chaotic fire blade. Chaotic boundary slash. The chaotic fire blade accurately stabbed towards the projection's energy core, the flames of silver and dark red instantly engulfing the light point. The projection of the Lord of Chaos let out a cry of agony, its body gradually beginning to dissipate, the triple chaotic patterns beneath its eyes slowly dimming. Guardian, you have won this time, but the Lord of Chaos will not let you go. The source crystal fragments will become your coordinates. I will find you and devour everything about you. Before dissipating, the projection left one last threat, then transformed into black smoke, vanishing into the air. The blood-colored space gradually returned to calm. The source crystal fragments had completely merged into Huangbin's bloodline, and the chaotic patterns in his eyes began to stabilize, forming a pattern interwoven with dark red and silver. Huangbin could feel the power within him greatly enhanced, the awakening of the chaotic eye technique allowing him to perceive everything around him clearly, even seeing the residual chaotic energy trajectories in the space. But at that moment he sensed that after the source crystal fragments merged with his bloodline, a faint signal had formed, seemingly transmitting some information outward. Is that a coordinate signal? Huangbin's expression changed, focusing his mind to perceive the signal within him. The signal utilized chaotic energy as its carrier, and each time he used the chaotic eye technique the signal would strengthen a bit. Jishui stepped forward looking at the chaotic patterns in Huang Bin's eyes, his brow furrowing. The projection of the Lord of Chaos has disappeared, but what did he mean by coordinates? Huang Bin shook his head, focusing his mind to perceive the signal within him while sensing the surrounding space. He could feel that the reinforcements from the chaotic pavilion were nearing, and the strengthening of the signal would attract even more powerful enemies. After the source crystal fragments merged with my bloodline, they became the coordinates of the chaotic pavilion, Huang Bin said solemnly, a glint of determination flashing in his eyes. The Lord of Chaos will not let this go. The ultimate showdown is about to come. At that moment, the walls of the blood-colored space suddenly lit up with dark red runes. These were the coordinate marks left after the fusion of the source crystal fragments, emitting a faint chaotic energy seemingly guiding towards a certain direction. Is this the location of another source crystal fragment? Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the energy fluctuations of the mark, feeling that the direction indicated by the mark was opposite to the aura of the reinforcements from the chaotic pavilion. Jishui nodded, focusing his mind to sense the surrounding space. The reinforcements from the chaotic pavilion are approaching. We must leave here quickly and find another source crystal fragment to break the Lord of Chaos chaotic barrier. Huang Bin concentrated his mind, the awakening of the chaotic eye technique allowing him to clearly perceive the weak points of the space. He raised his hand to gather Chakra. The purification form of the chaotic eye technique activated, forming a silver spatial rift. Spatial shuttling. The two figures flickered and vanished from the blood-colored space. When their figures reappeared, they had already arrived in a dense forest. But at that moment, Huang Bin felt that the coordinate signal within him suddenly strengthened, and a powerful wave of chaotic energy came from the distance. The reinforcements from the chaotic pavilion had caught up, and the strengthening of the signal seemed to have attracted even more formidable enemies. In the dense forest, the leaves rustled in the wind, yet Huang Bin could clearly sense the chaotic energy fluctuations growing stronger in the distance. It was the presence of the Shadow Erosion Team, each aura infused with the suppressive power of specially crafted sealing talismans. They are closing in. Jishui paused beneath a colossal ancient tree, his double tomo Sharingan sharpened and vigilance chakra gathering at his fingertips. He could feel the chaotic energy around him becoming turbulent, as if some force was interfering with his perception. Huang Bin nodded, concentrating on sensing the coordinate signal within him. The strengthening signal made it easier for the Chaos Pavilion to track him. He sensed that the power of his Chaos Eye technique was gradually being suppressed, the chaotic patterns in his eyes dimming. Suddenly a sound of breaking air came from the distant woods. Dark sealing talismans flew like raindrops, landing on the ground around him, instantly forming a massive chaos sealing barrier. Inside the barrier, chaotic energy surged like a tide, and Huang Bin could feel that the power of his Chaos Eye technique was suppressed by nearly half. The backlash deep within his bloodline intensifying once more. It's the sealing talismans of the Shadow Erosion Team, Huang Bin exclaimed softly, immediately activating the purification form of his Chaos Eye technique, silver light radiating from his eyes, forming a barrier to block the suppression of chaotic energy. However, as soon as the barrier formed, the chaotic energy within the barrier began to erode it, the silver light gradually fading. At that moment, three figures burst from the woods, the leader clad in black armor, dark green light flickering in his eyes, holding a specially made sealing talisman that radiated rich chaotic energy. Huang Bin of the Uchiha clan, hand over the source crystal fragments, or your Chaos Eye technique will be rendered completely ineffective within the sealing barrier. As soon as the words left his mouth, the leader waved his hand, and the sealing talisman unleashed a surge of chaotic energy charging directly towards Huang Bin. At the same time, the ground inside the barrier began to crack open, revealing slowly rising chaotic swamps, the surface covered in chaotic energy, and chaotic vines at the bottom starting to writhe as if waiting for prey. "Be careful, the swamp has traps," Ji Shui shouted, immediately casting illusion technique Sharingan mirror world explosion in an attempt to disrupt the Shadow Erosion Team's perception. But at that moment, the leader raised his hand to condense a chaotic energy shield, blocking the attack of the illusion technique, while controlling the chaotic vines charging straight at Ji Shui. Huang Bin focused his mind, sensing the energy fluctuations of the sealing barrier. He could clearly see the energy trajectories of each sealing talisman within the barrier, one of which had the most complex runes, seemingly the energy core of the entire barrier. "Ji Shui, cover me!" Huang Bin exclaimed, his figure flashing as he dashed toward the edge of the ceiling barrier. Just then 2 members of the Shadow Erosion team rushed over, their hands gathering chaotic energy to form attacks directed at Huang Bin. Illusionary fire burning heaven! Huang Bin shouted, concentrating to combine the devouring form of his Chaos Eye technique with the power of illusionary fire, forming a silver flame that surged towards the 2 members. However, within the ceiling barrier the flame's power was suppressed, its speed slowing down, allowing the 2 members to easily dodge while gathering chaotic energy to form a massive chaotic shockwave aimed directly at Huang Bin. Huang Bin's expression changed as he concentrated his mind, activating the purification form of his Chaos Eye technique, again a silver barrier forming to block the attack of the shockwave. But at that moment chaotic vines had already wrapped around his ankle, a powerful pulling force dragging him down, while the surface of the chaotic swamp began to release backlash energy, eroding his chakra. Not good! Huang Bin concentrated, instantly activating the devouring form of his Chaos Eye technique to absorb the chaotic energy from the vines, converting it into his own power while breaking free from their entanglement. But just then the leader charged over, raising his hand to condense a mass of chaotic energy into a massive chaotic claw lunging towards Huang Bin's eyes. The target of the claw was the core of the Chaos Eye technique. Guardian Shield! Ji Shui shouted, immediately casting illusion technique Sharingan Kamui in an attempt to pull the chaotic claw into the space-time dimension. But the leader seemed to sense the fluctuation of the illusion technique, his figure flashing as he dodged the attack while controlling the chaotic vines charging straight at Ji Shui, forcing him to withdraw the illusion technique. Huang Bin's expression changed as he focused his mind to sense the energy core of the ceiling barrier. The core was directly above the barrier, protected by layers of chaotic energy shields. He knew he had to destroy the core quickly to lift the suppression. Illusionary fire of the same origin, break the barrier! Huang Bin exclaimed, softly concentrating to combine the purification form of his Chaos Eye technique with the power of illusionary fire, forming a silver chaos fire ring that surged toward the top of the barrier. The fire ring was suppressed within the barrier, its speed slowing down, but at that moment Ji Shui rushed over, casting illusion technique Sharingan Mirror World Explosion to disrupt the leader's perception, while gathering chakra to form a barrier to block the attack of the chaotic vines. Now's the time! Huang Bin concentrated the devouring form of his Chaos Eye technique, activating instantly to absorb the chaotic energy of the chaotic claw, converting it into his own power while flashing towards the top of the barrier. He could feel the backlash within him becoming more severe, the silver patterns gradually dimming. You won't get away! The leader roared, raising his hand to condense a chaotic energy shield to block the attack of the chaos fire ring. But at that moment Huang Bin focused his mind, combining the power of his Blood Oath with the Chaos Eye technique to form a slender Chaos Blood Blade. Blood Oath, break the barrier slash! The Chaos Blood Blade accurately pierced the energy core of the ceiling barrier, the intertwining silver and dark red flames instantly engulfing the core's runes. At the moment the core was shattered, the ceiling barrier began to collapse, the chaotic energy gradually dissipating, and Huang Bin could feel his Chaos Eye technique power starting to recover. But just then the leader roared, raising his hand to condense a massive chaotic energy, forming a chaotic vortex that charged towards Huang Bin. At the same time the chaotic swamp within the barrier began to churn, chaotic vines surging from the swamp charging straight at Huang Bin and Ji Shui. Not good, the leader is about to launch a full attack! Ji Shui shouted, immediately casting illusion technique Sharingan Kamui in an attempt to pull the chaotic vortex into the space-time dimension. But at that moment Huang Bin concentrated his mind, alternating between the purification form and devouring form of his Chaos Eye technique. The purification form weakened the chaotic energy of the vortex, while the devouring form absorbed some energy, converting it into his own power, and the power of illusionary fire formed a barrier to block the attack of the chaotic vines. Illusionary fire burning heaven, break the barrier! Huang Bin exclaimed, focusing his mind to combine the purification form of his Chaos Eye technique with the power of illusionary fire, forming a massive chaos fire blade that surged towards the chaotic vortex. In the moment when the fire blade collided with the vortex, it emitted a deafening roar, the chaotic energy gradually dissipating, but just then the leader charged over, raising a specially made sealing talisman directly towards Huang Bin's eyes. The target of the sealing talisman was the core of the Chaos Eye technique. Huang Bin's expression changed as he focused his mind the awakening of his Chaos Eye technique, allowing him to clearly perceive the energy fluctuations of the sealing talisman. He knew that if struck by the talisman, his Chaos Eye technique would be completely suppressed and unusable. Ji Shui, interfere with the illusion! Huang Bin shouted, concentrating his mind to sense the energy core of the sealing talisman, while the devouring form of his Chaos Eye technique activated, instantly attempting to absorb the energy of the sealing talisman. But at that moment the leader raised his hand to condense a chaotic energy shield, blocking Huang Bin's attack while controlling the chaotic vines charging directly at Huang Bin's ankle. "Guardian, you can't escape!" The leader roared, the sealing talisman drawing closer. Huang Bin could feel his Chaos Eye technique power gradually being suppressed, the silver patterns dimming and the backlash sensation becoming increasingly severe. The sealing talisman was drawing closer to Huang Bin's eyes, the silver patterns nearly vanishing under the suppression of chaotic energy, as the backlash sensation from deep within his veins surged like a tide, almost tearing apart his consciousness. Just at this critical moment, Huang Bin caught a glimpse of the silver light emanating from the earth vein node at the center of the swamp. This was the protective power sensed during the bloodline trial, originating from the same source as the blood oath. "Calm water illusion, guide the way," Huang Bin whispered, focusing his mind to activate the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique as the silver barrier trembled under the erosion of chaotic energy but remained unbroken. He deliberately slowed the output of the Eye technique's power, intentionally exposing a flaw, and quickly retreated towards the center of the swamp. Calm water immediately understood, and the double Tomo Sharingan rapidly spun, forming a complex illusionary wave. Illusion technique Sharingan, mirror world explosion. The illusionary wave enveloped the Shadow Erosion team leader, and countless phantoms of Huang Bin appeared before him, each rushing towards the center of the swamp. The leader's expression darkened as he raised his hand to gather a chaotic energy shield, attempting to block the illusionary interference while controlling chaotic vines to speed up and entwine around Huang Bin's ankle. "You think you can lure me into the swamp? Delusional!" Just then Huang Bin flickered, evading the entanglement of the chaotic vines, while the devouring form of the Chaos Eye technique activated, instantaneously absorbing part of the chaotic energy and converting it into his own strength. He could feel that although the swamp's surface released backlash energy, the sensation weakened significantly when approaching the earth vein node, and a gentle force from the blood oath surged from beneath the ground, supporting his strength. "Now is the time," Huang Bin whispered, concentrating to perceive the energy fluctuations of the earth vein node while activating the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique. Silver light spreading along the surface of the swamp, forming silver patterns. These patterns resonated with the energy of the earth vein node, gradually dispelling the backlash energy on the swamp's surface, opening a safe passage for Huang Bin in calm water. Seeing this, the Shadow Erosion team leader's expression changed drastically, and he immediately raised his hand to gather more chaotic energy, forming a massive chaotic shockwave charging towards Huang Bin. "You want use the earth vein node?" In the moment the shockwave struck, calm water quickly performed illusion technique Sharingan, divine might, attempting to pull the shockwave into another dimension. The leader seemed to sense the fluctuations of the illusion, flickering to avoid the attack, but at that moment Huang Bin used the support of the earth vein node, flickering into the center of the swamp. He could feel that the blood oath's strength within him merged perfectly with the energy of the earth vein node. The power of the Chaos Eye technique gradually restored, and the silver patterns became bright once more. "The blood oath of the protector shall not be desecrated," Huang Bin roared, focusing his mind to combine the blood oath's power with the Chaos Eye technique. The chaotic patterns in his eyes spun rapidly, and the intertwining silver and dark red light gradually coalesced into a massive blood oath mark suspended at the center of the swamp, emanating a powerful protective force. The Shadow Erosion team leader's expression shifted, and he quickly raised his hand to gather a specially crafted sealing talisman, trying to suppress the Chaos Eye technique once more. But at that moment Huang Bin concentrated his mind, and the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique activated instantaneously, with silver light spreading along the earth vein node, forming a barrier that blocked the suppression of the sealing talisman. Simultaneously he sensed that the energy core of the sealing talisman was interacting with the leader's chakra. Once the core was attacked, the leader would suffer backlash. Illusion fire of the same origin, break the boundary. Huang Bin whispered, concentrating to combine the devouring form of the Chaos Eye technique with the power of the illusion fire, forming a silver chaotic fire blade while infusing the Blood Oath's power into the blade. Blood Oath boundary break slash. The chaotic fire blade bearing the power of the Blood Oath mark charged straight towards the energy core of the sealing talisman. The leader's expression changed dramatically as he quickly raised his hand to gather a chaotic energy shield, but at that moment the chaotic vines at the bottom of the swamp suddenly rebelled. Due to Huang Bin's Blood Oath power dispelling the swamp's backlash energy, the chaotic vines lost their energy support, and instead wrapped around the leader's ankle, pulling him into the depths of the swamp. No! The leader shouted angrily, trying to break free from the entanglement of the chaotic vines while manipulating the sealing talisman, attempting to gather chaotic energy once more. But at that moment Huang Bin's Blood Oath boundary break slash accurately pierced the energy core of the sealing talisman, and the intertwining silver and dark red flames instantly consumed the core's runes. In the instant the core was shattered, the sealing talisman emitted a crisp sound and transformed into black smoke that dissipated. The leader's face turned pale in an instant, spitting out a mouthful of blood as the connection between his chakra and the sealing talisman was severed, the backlash force causing him to lose his balance and fall straight into the chaotic swamp. This is bad. The leader struggled to free himself from the swamp, but at that moment Huang Bin focused his mind, alternating between the purification form and devouring form of the Chaos Eye technique, absorbing the chaotic energy at the bottom of the swamp and converting it into his own strength while manipulating the energy of the earth vein node to form a silver barrier trapping the leader in the swamp. You have lost. Huang Bin stood at the edge of the swamp, the chaotic patterns in his eyes gradually stabilizing, the Blood Oath marks slowly merging into the Eye technique. The Chaos Eye technique and the Blood Oath power perfectly fused, the strength once again enhanced. The Shadow Erosion team leader struggled to gather chakra, but at that moment the chaotic vines at the bottom of the swamp tightly entangled his body, and the backlash energy along with the swamp's absorbing force continuously eroded his chakra, causing him to gradually lose the power to resist. Uchiha Huang Bin, the Lord of Chaos, will not spare you. The leader's voice grew weaker as his body was gradually consumed by the swamp, transforming into black smoke that dissipated in the air. Huang Bin could sense that the coordinate signal within him weakened slightly at the moment the leader dissipated. Destroying the sealing talisman of the Shadow Erosion team seemed to temporarily interfere with the transmission of the coordinate signal. Calm Water stepped forward, looking at the chaotic patterns in Huang Bin's eyes, his brow gradually relaxing. We succeeded, but the leader of the Shadow Erosion team has perished, and reinforcements from the Chaos Pavilion should arrive soon. Huang Bin nodded, concentrating to sense the power within him. The awakening of the Chaos Eye technique allowed him to clearly see the surrounding space, while he could also feel that after the source crystal fragments fused with his bloodline, the coordinate signal still existed, and moreover the fluctuations of the signal seemed to be pointing to a farther direction. That was the location of another source crystal fragment. Just then a silver light suddenly illuminated the earth vein node at the center of the swamp, and a blurry figure emerged within the light. This was the appearance of an ancestor of the Uchiha clan who raised a hand to point towards the distant mountains, and his voice echoed in Huang Bin's consciousness. Protector, another source crystal fragment lies deep within the chaotic mountains, and the Lord of Chaos avatar is waiting there. The ancestor's figure gradually faded, and Huang Bin could feel the power of the Chaos Eye technique within him strengthen once more, but at that moment a powerful wave of chaotic energy came from the distance. The reinforcements from the Chaos Pavilion had already arrived, and the energy fluctuations were stronger than those of the Shadow Erosion team. Let's go to the chaotic mountains. Huang Bin focused his mind, the awakening of the Chaos Eye technique allowing him to clearly perceive the marching route of the reinforcements, while sensing the chaotic energy fluctuations deep within the mountains. Another source crystal fragment was waiting for him there. Deep within the Chaos Mountains, the jagged rocks were suffused with intense chaotic energy. Huang Bin could feel that the fragments of the source crystal within his body resonated with another fragment deep within the mountains. Just then a massive black figure slowly emerged from the chaotic mist, a manifestation of the Lord of Chaos. The manifestation was clad in a crimson robe, its eyes glimmering with a dark purple light, and a cold smirk played on its lips. The guardian of the Uchiha, your blood oath power will ultimately become nourishment for chaos. As soon as the words left its mouth, the manifestation raised its hand, condensing a surge of chaotic energy that formed a gigantic chaos vortex hurtling directly towards Huang Bin. "Be careful!" Ji Shui shouted, immediately casting illusion technique Sharingan Kamui, attempting to pull the chaos vortex into the realm of time and space. However, the manifestation seemed to sense the fluctuations of the illusion technique. It dodged the attack with a swift movement, while raising its hand to condense a specially crafted sealing talisman, forming a small chaos sealing barrier that trapped Ji Shui within. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he focused his mind to activate the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique. A silver barrier manifested under the encroaching chaotic energy, blocking the attack of the chaos vortex. But just then the manifestation raised its hand again, gathering chaotic energy, and the dark purple light in its eyes gradually overlapped with the patterns of Huang Bin's Chaos Eye technique replication. A silvery light intertwined with dark red emanated from the manifestation's eyes, instantly forming an identical Chaos Eye technique. Purification form and devouring form alternated. Even the power of the illusion fire was accurately duplicated, forming a massive chaos fire blade that charged straight at Huang Bin. "Not good, it has replicated the eye technique," Huang Bin exclaimed, his figure flickering as he dodged the attack of the chaos fire blade. Just then a mirrored battlefield suddenly formed. Within the battlefield all attacks and defenses would synchronize. Every time Huang Bin dodged, the manifestation would also dodge and sync, and every time he gathered the power of the eye technique, the manifestation would do the same. "Illusion fire burning heaven!" Huang Bin shouted, concentrating as he combined the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique with the power of the illusion fire, forming a silvery flame that surged towards the manifestation. But as soon as the flame took shape, the manifestation synchronized and gathered the same flame, creating a barrier that blocked the attack. "The Guardian's Eye technique is nothing special," the manifestation scoffed, raising its hand to condense the blood oath-breaking slash. However, Huang Bin sensed that the replicated eye technique lacked the core support of the blood oath power, and the strength of the slash was noticeably weaker than his own, with the chaotic energy around the attack gradually diminishing. "The replicated eye technique has a weakness." Huang Bin concentrated, sensing the fluctuations of the manifestation's eye technique, and discovered that the core of the replicated technique differed from his own blood oath power. It lacked the energy support from the ley line nodes, and the chaotic energy would gradually diminish over time. At that moment, Ji Shui cast illusion technique Sharingan mirror world explosion within the barrier, attempting to disrupt the manifestation's perception. However, the manifestation seemed to sense the fluctuations of the illusion technique, raising its hand to condense a chaotic energy shield that blocked the illusion attack while controlling chaotic vines to wrap around Ji Shui's ankles. "Ji Shui, hold on a little longer!" Huang Bin shouted, concentrating on sensing the ley line nodes within the battlefield. Inside the mirrored battlefield, the ley line nodes still existed, emitting a faint silver light. He knew that as long as he harnessed the energy of the ley line nodes, he could break the synchronization. The key to breaking the deadlock was right in front of him. But at that moment, the manifestation raised its hand to condense a massive cave's giant claw, simultaneously synchronizing and condensing the blood oath-breaking slash, charging straight at Huang Bin. Huang Bin's expression changed as he focused his mind to activate the devouring form of the Chaos Eye technique, absorbing the chaotic energy of the Chaos Giant Claw and converting it into his own power, while flickering his figure to dodge the slash. "Blood Oath power resonate!" Huang Bin shouted, concentrating as he combined the Blood Oath power within him with the energy of the ley line nodes, forming a silver barrier that blocked the attack of the Chaos Giant Claw. Simultaneously, the barrier spread along the ley line nodes, forming a silver pattern that gradually dispelled the synchronization effect of the mirrored battlefield. Huang Bin's attacks no longer synchronized with the manifestation, but the manifestation could still replicate the eye technique forms. "Now's the time." Huang Bin focused his mind, and the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique was instantly activated, with silver light spreading along the ley line nodes, forming a barrier that blocked the manifestation's attack. At the same time, he sensed that the core of the manifestation's replicated eye technique was diminishing and the chaotic energy was gradually weakening. "Illusion fire of the same source, break the chaos!" Huang Bin shouted, concentrating as he combined the devouring form of the Chaos Eye technique with the power of the illusion fire, forming a silvery chaos fire blade, simultaneously infusing blood oath power into the blade. Blood oath breaking slash. The Chaos Fire blade imbued with the power of the Blood Oath mark surged towards the core of the replicated eye technique. The manifestation's expression darkened as it raised its hand to condense the same Blood Oath breaking slash, but just then Huang Bin concentrated his mind and the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique was instantly activated with a silver barrier spreading along the ley line nodes, forming a barrier that blocked the manifestation's attack. At the same time, he sensed that the core of the manifestation's replicated eye technique was binding with his own chaotic energy. Once the core was shattered, the manifestation would lose its power support. Break! Huang Bin roared, and the Chaos Fire blade accurately stabbed into the core of the replicated eye technique, the silver and dark red flames instantly engulfing the core's runes. In the moment the core was shattered, the manifestation's expression turned pale, and it spat out a mouthful of blood. The connection between its chakra and the eye technique core severed, causing it to stagger. No! How is this possible? The manifestation roared, raising its hand to condense chaotic energy, attempting to reassemble the eye technique. But just then Huang Bin concentrated his mind, and the power of the Chaos Eye technique enhanced once more, forming a gigantic Chaos Fire ring that surged toward the manifestation. The Chaos Fire ring struck the manifestation accurately, and the silver flames instantly engulfed the manifestation's chaotic energy. The manifestation struggled to gather chakra, but at that moment Huang Bin focused his mind. The awakening of the Chaos Eye technique allowed him to clearly see the manifestation's chaotic energy core. The core was gradually diminishing, losing the support of the eye technique replication. The Guardian's Blood Oath, break the chaos! Huang Bin shouted, concentrating as he combined the Blood Oath power with the Chaos Eye technique, forming a massive Blood Oath mark that surged towards the manifestation's core. The mark struck the core precisely, and in the moment the silver light collided with the dark purple light, it produced a deafening roar. The manifestation's chaotic energy gradually dissipated, transforming into black smoke. Huang Bin could feel that the coordinate signal within him weakened further at the moment the manifestation vanished. Destroying the manifestation of the Lord of Chaos seemed to further disrupt the transmission of the coordinate signal. But just then a more powerful wave of chaotic energy emanated from deep within the mountains. Another manifestation of the Lord of Chaos was approaching, and the energy fluctuations were stronger than those of the previous manifestation. Let's go deeper into the mountains. Huang Bin concentrated, sensing the location of the source crystal fragments, while also sensing that the ley line nodes were denser deeper in the mountains. Perhaps he could use the ley line nodes to counter the more powerful manifestation. In the skies above the Chaos Mountain range, dark clouds surged like ink, and a more powerful avatar of the Chaos Lord broke through the void. The avatar was clad in a specially crafted Chaos Core armor with runes flickering across it, capable of resisting eye techniques. Raising its hand, it gathered chaotic energy to form a massive chaos mirror array, within which countless mirror images of Huang Bin and Xuanxiao emerged, each wielding different ninjutsu charging towards the main body. Be careful, these images are both real and fake, and they can replicate eye techniques. Shishui's expression turned grave as his double Tomo Sharingan spun rapidly, attempting to perceive the fluctuations of the images with illusion techniques, but the interference from the chaotic energy rendered the illusory fluctuations chaotic and indistinguishable. Huang Bin focused his mind and activated the guardian form of the Chaos Eye technique. A silver barrier formed under the onslaught of chaotic energy, blocking an image's fire release great fireball technique, yet the attacks from the images continued unceasingly, and the barrier began to show cracks. He could feel the power of the Blood Oath within him, and his chakra being continuously consumed. If they could not quickly break free from the illusionary dilemma, they would be devoured by the chaotic energy. Xuanxiao, let's try eye technique resonance. Huang Bin shouted softly, focusing his mind to sense the fluctuations of Shishui's Sharingan illusion. Both the energy of the illusion and the chaotic purification of the Chaos Eye technique originated from the same source, both based on spiritual energy, and perhaps they could resonate. He raised his hand to gather the earth vein resonance of the Chaos Eye technique. Silver light spread along the earth vein nodes, forming a barrier to block the image's attacks while transmitting the Blood Oath power to Xuanxiao. Xuanxiao immediately understood his double Tomo Sharingan spinning rapidly, creating a complex illusionary wave. Illusion technique Sharingan Kamui. The illusion wave resonated with Huang Bin's Chaos Eye technique wave, forming a gigantic spiritual energy vortex. Within the vortex, chaotic energy intertwined with illusionary energy, and the fluctuations of the images gradually became clear. Huang Bin sensed a hidden chaos core within the group of images. The core was located at the center wrapped in chaotic energy, and was the key to breaking the dilemma. But at that moment the avatar of the Chaos Lord raised its hand to gather chaotic energy, forming a gigantic chaos torrent that surged towards the two. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he focused his mind to activate the purification form of the Chaos Eye technique. A silver barrier formed under the onslaught of the chaos torrent, blocking the attack while converting chaotic energy into his own power to replenish his consumption. Blood Oath power resonate. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to combine the Blood Oath power with the energy of the Earth Vein node, forming a silver Blood Oath mark that hovered at the center of the spiritual energy vortex, radiating a strong protective power. At the same time he sensed the energy fluctuations of the Chaos Lord's avatar. The avatar's power relied on the Chaos Core armor, and once the core was shattered the armor would collapse. Illusionary fire is of the same origin, break the barrier. Huang Bin shouted softly, focusing his mind to combine the devouring form of the Chaos Eye technique with Shishui's illusion wave, forming a silver chaos fire blade while infusing the Blood Oath power into the blade. Illusionary fire, break barrier slash. The chaos fire blade, empowered by the spiritual energy vortex, charged directly towards the chaos core at the center of the image group. But at that moment the avatar of the Chaos Lord raised its hand to form a chaotic energy shield, attempting to block the attack while controlling the image group to create a mirror shield that blocked the chaos fire blade. Sharingan seal. Shishui shouted softly, focusing his mind to form a sealing wave with the Sharingan illusion that surged towards the chaos core armor. At the moment of collision between the illusion wave and chaotic energy, the runes on the armor began to flicker. The chaotic energy was interfered with by the sealing, and the armor's defensive power gradually diminished. Now is the time. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to combine the mirror analysis of the Chaos Eye technique with illusionary fire devouring, forming a silver chaos fire blade while infusing the Blood Oath power into the blade. Broken mirror form, break the barrier. The Chaos Fire blade, empowered by the spiritual energy vortex, precisely pierced through the Chaos Core armor, striking the Chaos Core. At the moment the core was struck, the Chaos Lord's avatar turned pale, spitting out a mouthful of blood. The link between the chaotic energy and the core was severed, and the backlash made him unstable. But at that moment the image group began to attack frantically, and an image's fire release Phoenix Flower technique charged directly towards Huang Bin. Huang Bin focused his mind and activated the guardian form of the Chaos Eye technique. A silver barrier formed under the attack while converting chaotic energy into his own power to replenish his consumption. Guardian illusion open. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to combine the guardian form of the Chaos Eye technique with Shishui's illusion, forming a guardian illusion. Within the illusion the chaotic energy was purified while forming a barrier to block the attacks of the images. At the same time he sensed that the chaos core of the Chaos Lord's avatar was gradually diminishing, losing the support of chaotic energy. Blood Oath Chaos Domain break. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to perfectly fuse the Blood Oath power Chaos Eye technique and Earth Vein node, forming a gigantic Blood Oath Chaos domain. Within the domain silver and dark red light intertwined, gradually coalescing into a massive chaos fire ring that surged towards the chaos core. The chaos fire ring struck the chaos core precisely, and at the moment of collision between silver and dark purple light, a deafening roar erupted, and the chaos core gradually dissipated into black smoke. The chaotic energy of the Chaos Lord's avatar gradually dissipated, and its translucent body began to fade away. But at that moment the image group did not dissipate, instead they began to attack frantically, and an image's lightning release lightning cutter charged directly at Shishui. Shishui's expression darkened as he concentrated his mind to activate the Sharingan illusion, forming a barrier to block the attack, but the attacks from the images continued unceasingly, and the barrier began to show cracks. Shishui Eye technique fusion. Huang Bin whispered, focusing his mind to combine the mirror analysis of the Chaos Eye technique with Shishui's illusion wave, forming a silver chaos fire blade while infusing the Blood Oath power into the blade. Broken mirror form devour. The Chaos Fire blade, empowered by the spiritual energy vortex, surged directly towards the center of the image group. Wherever the Chaos Fire blade went, the images gradually dissipated into chaotic energy, which was absorbed by Huang Bin's devouring form and transformed into his own power. At the same time, the mirror analysis of the Chaos Eye technique precisely identified the true body of the images. The true body was located at the center of the image group wrapped in chaotic energy. Sharingan sealing break. Xuanxiao shouted softly, focusing his mind to form a sealing wave with the Sharingan illusion that surged towards the true body of the images. At the moment of collision between the illusion wave and chaotic energy, the chaotic energy of the true body was interfered with by the sealing, and its defensive power gradually diminished. Broken mirror form, break the barrier. Huang Bin roared, focusing his mind to combine the illusionary fire devouring of the Chaos Eye technique with Sharingan sealing, forming a silver chaos fire blade while infusing the blood oath power into the blade. Broken mirror form, ultimate, break the barrier. The chaos fire blade, empowered by the spiritual energy vortex, precisely pierced through the chaotic energy of the true body of the images, striking the core. At the moment the core was hit, the image group completely dissipated into black smoke. The chaotic energy of the Chaos Lord's avatar gradually dissipated, completely vanishing in the skies above the mountains. Huang Bin could feel the immense consumption of blood oath power and chakra within him, and he felt dizzy, nearly falling. Xuanxiao immediately stepped forward to support him, his expression grave. Huang Bin, your eye technique has consumed too much energy, you need to rest. Huang Bin shook his head, focusing his mind to sense the energy fluctuations deep within the mountains. The energy nodes deep within the mountains were denser, seemingly guiding him further into the depths. But at that moment he sensed an even more powerful wave of chaotic energy. A more powerful avatar of the Chaos Lord was approaching, and the energy fluctuations were stronger than the previous avatar, seemingly carrying a specially crafted Chaos Core armor capable of resisting eye technique attacks and possibly possessing summoning abilities. Let's go deeper into the mountains. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the location of the source crystal fragments, while also sensing the denser energy nodes deeper in the mountains which might help them counter the stronger avatar. But at that moment a stronger wave of chaotic energy swept across the skies above the mountains. A more powerful avatar of the Chaos Lord was approaching, and the energy fluctuations were even greater than the previous avatar, seemingly carrying a specially crafted Chaos Core armor capable of resisting eye technique attacks and possibly possessing summoning abilities to summon chaotic beasts for attack. Deep within the Chaos Mountain range, the earth vein nodes were densely interwoven like a net, with silver and dark red light swirling amidst the mountains. Huang Bin had just completed the fusion of the source crystal fragments when the backlash of the creation forms surged forth. Inside his body the power of the blood oath and chakra boiled like magma, crashing against his meridians, while his eyes endured a tearing pain as the silver patterns of his ocular technique gradually dimmed. Huang Bin, hold on! Upon seeing this, Xuanxiao immediately cast his Sharingan illusion technique, forming a complex illusion seal array that trapped the backlash energy of Huang Bin's ocular technique within a designated area, creating a silver barrier that temporarily isolated the impact of the backlash. Then he focused his mind using his chakra as a guide, combined with the chaotic energy of the earth vein nodes to form a chakra shield that guarded Huang Bin, while slowly channeling chakra into Huang Bin's body to alleviate the severe pain from the backlash. I'm fine, I can hold on. Huang Bin took a deep breath, concentrating on sensing the power of the creation form, forming a silver barrier with creation guardian to resist the chaotic energy continuously surging from the depths of the mountains. He knew that he had to find the Chaos True Core as soon as possible to completely unravel the scheme of the Lord of Chaos. Let's go, I sense the Chaos True Core deeper in the mountains. Xuanxiao said softly, his double Tomo Sharingan spinning rapidly, sensing the fluctuations of the Chaos True Core. Then he flashed and sped deeper into the mountains alongside Huang Bin. The chaotic energy in the depths of the mountains grew denser, the ground littered with the remains of chaotic beasts, and the air was thick with a decaying aura. Just as the two advanced 100 meters, they encountered a powerful wave of chaotic energy. The Chaos True Core was sealed by both the Chaos Energy Lock and the Illusion Barrier, the Energy Lock resembling black chains that coiled around the core, while the Illusion Barrier formed a silver shield blocking external attacks. I will break the Illusion Barrier, you use Chaos Reversal to break the Energy Lock. Xuanxiao called out, concentrating as he cast Sharingan Kamui, attempting to pull in the Illusion Barrier. However, the Lord of Chaos illusion was exceedingly powerful, the barrier's fluctuations interwoven with chaotic energy, making it difficult to break. Creation domain open. Huang Bin roared, concentrating to combine the source crystal resonance of the chaotic ocular technique with the earth vein nodes, silver light spreading from the nodes to form a massive creation domain. Within the domain, the chaotic energy was suppressed. The fluctuations of the illusion barrier gradually became clearer, and Jishu's illusion fluctuations resonated with the domain, forming an illusion energy vortex. Illusion Kamui break! Ji Shui shouted, concentrating as he infused the Sharingan illusion fluctuations into the vortex, forming a silver illusion blade that charged towards the illusion barrier. The blade accurately pierced through the barrier, which began to dissipate, revealing the chaotic energy lock inside. Chaos reversal, break the realm! Huang Bin called, lowly, concentrating to combine the chaos reversal of the chaotic ocular technique with the power of the blood oath, forming a silver creation fire blade while infusing the power of the blood oath into the blade. Creation break realm slash. The creation fire blade, imbued with the power of the creation domain, accurately slashed towards the core of the chaotic energy lock. But just then, as the energy lock was attacked, it began to vibrate violently, triggering a chaotic energy explosion with black smoke and silver light intertwining, rushing towards the two. Creation Guardian open! Huang Bin roared, concentrating to activate the Creation Guardian of the chaotic ocular technique, a silver barrier forming under the impact of the explosion, blocking the attack while converting chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his consumption. At the same time, he sensed Jishu's illusion fluctuations. Sharingan Kamui! Ji Shui concentrated, using the Sharingan illusion to pull in the explosive energy, forming an illusion vortex that trapped the explosive energy, preventing its spread. Huang Bin seized the opportunity to concentrate, using chaos reversal to break the chaotic energy lock. The silver light colliding with the black chains generated a deafening roar as the energy lock gradually shattered. But at that moment, the seal of the chaos true core was broken, and a powerful wave of chaotic energy swept through the entire mountain range. The chaos source crystal was activated, and a series of beast roars echoed from the depths of the mountains as countless chaotic beasts surged towards the two. Not good, the chaotic beast horde is coming! Jishu's face darkened, concentrating to form an illusion barrier with the Sharingan illusion to block the attack of the chaotic beast horde, but the number of beasts was overwhelming and the barrier began to show cracks. Huang Bin focused his mind to sense the fluctuations of the chaotic beast horde. The chaotic energy within the horde was disordered but could be absorbed by the devouring form of the chaotic ocular technique, transforming into his own strength. He knew that he had to quickly break the chaos true core to stop the attack of the chaotic beast horde. Source Crystal Resonance Creation Domain Ultimate! Huang Bin roared, concentrating to perfectly merge the power of the blood oath chaotic ocular technique and earth vein nodes, forming a massive creation domain ultimate. Within the domain, the chaotic energy of the beast horde was suppressed, and could no longer launch attacks, only wandering within the domain. Chaos reversal, break the realm! Huang Bin called, lowly, concentrating to combine the chaos reversal of the chaotic ocular technique with the power of the blood oath, forming a silver creation fire blade while infusing the power of the blood oath into the blade. Creation break realm slash ultimate! The creation fire blade, imbued with the power of the creation domain, accurately pierced the core of the chaos true core. The moment the core was struck, the chaotic energy of the chaos true core gradually dissipated, transforming into silver light points that integrated into Huang Bin's body. Huang Bin could feel that the creation form within his body had become more stable, and the power of the chaotic ocular technique had once again strengthened. But just then, a stronger wave of chaotic energy surged from above the mountain range. A massive black figure was slowly coalescing. The true body of the Lord of Chaos sensed that the chaos true core had been broken and was about to descend. Let's go deeper into the mountains, where the core of the earth vein nodes might resist the attack of the Lord of Chaos. Huang Bin called, lowly, concentrating to sense the earth vein nodes deeper in the mountains while also sensing the chaotic beast horde rushing towards them. Ji Shui immediately cast illusion Sharingan Kamui, trying to pull in the chaotic beast horde, but the sheer number of beasts made it difficult to pull them all into the illusion space. Huang Bin concentrated to activate the Creation Guardian of the chaotic ocular technique, forming a silver barrier that blocked the attack of the chaotic beast horde while converting chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his consumption. But just as they were preparing to retreat, the black figure above the mountain range gradually coalesced. The true body of the Lord of Chaos descended, raising his hand to gather chaotic energy, forming a massive chaos torrent that surged towards the two. In the skies above the Chaos Mountain range, a black figure coalesced, embodying the true form of the Chaos Lord. He raised his hand, gathering chaotic energy to form a massive chaos torrent that surged toward Huang Bin and Ji Shui. Wherever the torrent passed, the earth vein nodes were eroded, and the silver light gradually dimmed, suppressing the power of the creation domain. Creation Guardian activate. Huang Bin bellowed, focusing his spirit to activate the Creation Guardian of the Chaos Eye technique. A silver barrier formed under the erosion of the chaos torrent, blocking the attack while converting chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his consumption. However, the power of the torrent was too immense, and cracks began to appear in the barrier. Sharingan Kamui. Ji Shui shouted softly, concentrating to cast an illusion technique in an attempt to draw in the chaos torrent. Yet the chaotic energy of the Chaos Lord was overwhelmingly powerful. The collision of the torrent's fluctuations and the illusion's energy created a massive energy vortex that gradually devoured the power of the creation domain. Huang Bin, we must break the Chaos Lord's defenses quickly, or the creation domain will be engulfed. Ji Shu's expression darkened as he focused, using the Sharingan illusion to form an illusion barrier to block the impact of the energy vortex while sensing the core location of the Chaos Lord, exposed to the outside, surrounded by chaos source crystals that maintained its power. Huang Bin concentrated, sensing the residual creation power of the chaos true core which flowed within him like silver light points. He knew he had to condense the creation fire ring to strike directly at the core and detonate the source crystal. Source crystal resonance creation domain ultimate. Huang Bin roared, focusing his spirit to perfectly fuse the power of the blood oath, the chaos eye technique, and the earth vein nodes, forming a massive creation domain ultimate. Within the domain, the chaotic energy was suppressed, and the Chaos Lord's chaotic energy began to wane. Simultaneously, the residual creation power of the Chaos True Core combined with the source crystal resonance of the earth vein nodes, forming a silver light that converged toward Huang Bin. Chaos Reversion Condense. Huang Bin whispered, focusing his spirit to turn the chaos reversion of the Chaos Eye technique into the core, combining it with the creation power and source crystal resonance to form a silver creation fire ring. The surface of the fire ring shimmered with silver and dark red light, possessing three great abilities: energy purification, core penetration, and source crystal detonation. Creation fire ring, break the boundary. Huang Bin roared, focusing his spirit to infuse the power of the blood oath into the creation fire ring, forming a gigantic creation fire blade that surged toward the core of the Chaos Lord. The fire blade, empowered by the creation domain, accurately pierced through the defenses of the Chaos Lord and struck at the core. The Chaos Lord's expression darkened as he immediately raised his hand to gather chaotic energy, forming a black chaos shield with flickering runes attempting to block the attack. Yet the power of the creation fire blade was too great, piercing through the shield and striking the core. At the moment the core was hit, the Chaos Lord let out an enraged roar as the chaotic energy began to violently tremble, and the chaos source crystals surrounding the core started to gradually collapse. Just then, the collapse of the chaos source crystals triggered an explosion of chaotic energy, intertwining black smoke and silver light surged toward Huang Bin and Ji Shui. Guardian Formation activate. Huang Bin roared, focusing his spirit to form a massive guardian barrier with the guardian formation of the earth vein nodes, which blocked the explosive impact while converting chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his consumption. At the same time, he sensed Ji Shu's illusion fluctuations. Sharingan Kamui. Ji Shui concentrated, using the Sharingan illusion to draw in the explosive energy, forming an illusion vortex that trapped the explosive energy, preventing its spread. Huang Bin seized the opportunity, concentrating his spirit to use chaos reversion to detonate the chaos source crystal. At the moment of collision between the silver light and the dark purple light, a deafening roar erupted as the chaos source crystal gradually collapsed into black smoke. The Chaos Lord's face turned pale as he spat out a mouthful of blood, and the chaotic energy began to wane, his form unsteady. He struggled to gather chakra, but at that moment Huang Bin focused his spirit to sense the location of the Chaos Lord's core. It was gradually collapsing, losing the support of the chaos source crystals. Creation fire ring ultimate, break the boundary. Huang Bin roared, focusing his spirit to combine the creation fire ring with the power of the blood oath, forming a gigantic creation fire blade while infusing the blood oath power into the blade. Creation boundary / ultimate. The creation fire blade empowered by the creation domain accurately pierced through the core of the Chaos Lord. At the moment the core was hit, the Chaos Lord let out a mournful scream as the chaotic energy gradually dissipated, transforming into black smoke that slowly dispersed into the air. Just then a more powerful wave of chaotic energy surged from deep within the mountains. A more formidable avatar of the Chaos Lord was rushing over, and the energy fluctuations were stronger than the previous avatar, seemingly carrying a special Chaos Core armor that could withstand illusion attacks and possibly possessing summoning abilities to summon chaotic beasts for an attack. After the true form of the Lord of Chaos dissipated, the black smoke gradually faded into the air. Huang Bin had just breathed a sigh of relief when he suddenly felt the mountains begin to tremble violently, the nodes of the earth's veins emitting a piercing hum, the silver light gradually dimming and enormous cracks appearing on the mountain's surface as debris continuously tumbled down, while chaotic energy surged rampantly through the mountains. Not good, the mountain is about to collapse. Jishu's expression darkened as he focused his mind to sense the condition of the earth vein nodes, discovering that the residual chaotic energy from the Lord of Chaos was eroding the nodes, causing structural imbalance, and gradually diminishing the protective formation's power, with the entire mountain heading towards collapse. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the power of the creation form, forming a silver barrier with Creation Guardian to block the falling debris while detecting the fluctuations of the earth vein nodes. The Guardian formation of the nodes was failing and needed to activate the backup nodes quickly, otherwise the collapse would affect the entire mountain and might even trigger a greater disaster. "It'll activate the backup node, you keep an eye on the surroundings," Huang Bin whispered, focusing his mind to combine the source crystal resonance of the Chaos Eye technique with the Blood Oath power, forming a silver beam of light that converged towards the nearest earth vein node. The moment the light touched the node, it emitted a faint silver glow, and the backup node began to activate gradually, though the activation speed was slow while the mountain's collapse became increasingly severe. At that moment Huang Bin suddenly sensed a familiar wave of chaotic energy. It was the call of the source crystal fragment. The chaotic energy wave emitted by the fragment could only be sensed by those with the Chaos Eye technique, the wave resembling silver threads guiding him to the fragment's location. The fragment was located in the area of the most severe mountain collapse, surrounded by a guardian barrier formed from the remains of chaotic beasts with runes flashing on the barrier capable of resisting Eye technique attacks. "Jishui, I sense the source crystal fragment, it's right ahead," Huang Bin whispered, concentrating his mind to locate the fragment, while forming a barrier with Creation Guardian to block the falling debris. Jishui nodded, focusing his mind to sense the surroundings with the Sharingan illusion technique, but suddenly detected an abnormal wave. The wave was not natural energy but rather a Chaos Core fragment left behind by the Lord of Chaos avatar. The fragment was absorbing the surrounding chaotic energy, forming a black energy vortex that gradually expanded, seemingly summoning stronger chaotic beast hordes and might even activate the revival power of the chaotic source crystal. "Be careful, there is an abnormal wave, likely the core fragment left by the Lord of Chaos avatar, forming a chaotic summoning array," Jishui called out, focusing his mind to sense the location of the core fragment, while using Sharingan Kamui to pull in the surrounding debris, preventing it from crashing onto Huang Bin. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he concentrated to sense the fluctuations of the core fragment. The speed at which the core fragment absorbed chaotic energy was increasing, and the energy vortex formed had already attracted several powerful chaotic beast remains which were beginning to revive, forming a new chaotic beast horde. "First break the guardian barrier of the source crystal fragment to retrieve the fragment, then deal with the core fragment issue," Huang Bin whispered, focusing his mind to combine the chaos reversal of the Chaos Eye technique with the Blood Oath power, forming a silver creation fire blade that charged towards the guardian barrier. The fire blade accurately pierced through the barrier, which began to dissipate, gradually revealing the source crystal fragment inside. The fragment was dark purple with silver light swirling on its surface, exuding powerful chaotic energy. But at that moment the energy vortex formed by the core fragment had expanded to a certain degree, with several powerful chaotic beast remains having revived, forming a new chaotic beast horde rushing towards the two. At the same time the collapse of the mountain was worsening, the vibrations of the earth vein nodes were becoming more and more intense, the activation speed of the backup node was slow, and the chaotic energy turbulence was growing stronger. "Creation Guardian activate!" Huang Bin shouted in anger, focusing his mind to activate the creation guardian of the Chaos Eye technique, the silver barrier blocking the attacks of the chaotic beast horde while converting chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his consumption. At the same time, he sensed Jishu's illusion technique wave, Sharingan Kamui. Jishui focused his mind using the Sharingan illusion technique to pull in the chaotic beast horde, forming an illusion vortex that trapped the chaotic beast horde and prevented it from spreading. Huang Bin took the opportunity to concentrate his mind using chaos reversal to break the guardian barrier, while using source crystal resonance to obtain the source crystal fragment, which fused into his body, further enhancing the power of the Chaos Eye technique within him. But at that moment, the mountain's collapse had already affected the location of the two. The vibrations of the earth vein nodes were becoming increasingly violent, the activation speed of the backup node was slow, and the chaotic beast horde was gradually breaking through the constraints of the illusion vortex, while the energy vortex formed by the core fragment was gradually expanding, summoning more chaotic beast remains. "We must evacuate quickly," Jishui called out, focusing his mind to sense the evacuation route, but found that there was a guardian barrier formed from chaotic beast remains blocking the evacuation route. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the barrier on the evacuation route. The barrier could withstand Eye technique attacks but could be broken through by chaos reversal, and he needed to use the source crystal resonance of the earth vein nodes to form an energy channel for a safe evacuation. Chaos reversal source crystal resonance break. Huang Bin roared, focusing his mind to combine the chaos reversal of the Chaos Eye technique with the Blood Oath power, forming a silver creation fire blade while integrating the source crystal resonance of the earth vein nodes into the fire blade, creating a massive energy channel that charged towards the barrier. The fire blade accurately pierced through the barrier, which began to dissipate, gradually forming the energy channel, but at that moment the mountain's collapse had already affected the channel, with debris continuously tumbling down and the chaotic energy turbulence growing stronger. "Hurry!" Huang Bin shouted, focusing his mind to form a barrier with Creation Guardian to block the falling debris while sensing the state of the energy channel. The channel was gradually collapsing and they had to evacuate quickly. The two immediately rushed towards the energy channel, but the chaotic beast horde had already broken through the constraints of the illusion vortex, charging towards them, while the energy vortex formed by the core fragment was gradually expanding, summoning more chaotic beast remains, and the collapse of the mountain was becoming increasingly severe, with the entire mountain heading towards destruction. Huang Bin and Jishui had just burst out of the energy channel when a tremendous roar erupted behind them. The mountains collapsed completely, and chaotic energy surged forth, gradually dissipating the guarding barrier formed by the remains of the chaotic beasts, and the energy vortex created by the core fragments. Huang Bin focused his mind on sensing the source crystal fragment within him. As the fragment integrated, a powerful wave of chaotic energy coursed through his body, enhancing the power of the Chaos Eye technique once more. At that moment his consciousness was suddenly pulled into a chaotic space where silver and dark purple lights intertwined and an ancient deep incantation echoed in his ears, chaos source crystal hidden within the space-time rift. The sealing array and the guarding array intertwine, only the power of chaos returning to its origin can break the boundary. The incantation flowed like silver threads through his consciousness, simultaneously conveying the location of the chaos source crystal core, deep within the space-time rift formed after the mountain's collapse. The core is protected by the chaos sealing array and the chaos beast guarding array. The sealing array absorbs chaotic energy, forming an energy barrier, while the guarding array summons chaotic beasts to attack. Both must be broken simultaneously to approach the core. However, during the transmission of the incantation, chaotic energy impacted Huang Bin's consciousness. His mental strength was overly depleted, cold sweat beaded on his forehead, and the chaotic runes in his pupils began to flicker, posing a risk of backlash from the eye technique. At that moment Jishui sensed Huang Bin's abnormal state and immediately focused his mind to form a mental shield using the Sharingan illusion, isolating the chaotic energy and resisting the impact. "Huang Bin, are you okay?" Jishui whispered, concentrating on maintaining the mental shield to prevent chaotic energy from further impacting Huang Bin's consciousness. Huang Bin slowly opened his eyes, his face pale, focusing his mind to sense the chaotic energy within his body. After the fragment integrated, the Chaos Eye technique resonated with the power of the Blood Oath, awakening the Chaos returning to origin ability, allowing him to convert chaotic energy into his own strength while sensing the increasingly intense call of the Chaos Source Crystal Core. Impending Jishui. Huang Bin whispered, focusing his mind to convert the chaotic energy into his own strength, alleviating the depletion of his mental power while perceiving the content of the incantation, the location of the chaos source crystal core, its defense mechanisms, and the methods to break them all clearly presented in his consciousness. The incantation conveyed the location of the core, which is doubly protected, requiring the simultaneous breaking of the chaos sealing array and the chaos beast guarding array. Huang Bin whispered, concentrating on sensing the power after the integration of the fragment. The chaos returning to origin ability not only converts chaotic energy but also enhances the penetrating power of the eye technique, providing a possibility to break the core's defenses. Jishui nodded, focusing on sensing the chaotic energy fluctuations surrounding them. After the mountains collapsed, the chaotic energy turbulence gradually weakened and the location of the space-time rift became clearer. However, surrounding the rift was a guarding barrier formed by the remains of the chaotic beasts, with runes flashing upon it capable of resisting attacks from the eye techniques. First break the guarding barrier around the rift, then approach the space-time rift to reach the core. Jishui whispered, focusing on sensing the structure of the guarding barrier. It can resist attacks from eye techniques but can be broken through chaos reversal. At the same time, source crystal resonance is needed to form an energy channel to enter the rift. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the position of the guarding barrier. It can resist attacks from eye techniques but can be broken through chaos reversal. At the same time, source crystal resonance is needed to form an energy channel to enter the rift. Simultaneously, he sensed that the chaotic beasts were gradually reviving, forming a new group of chaotic beasts, charging towards the two caves. Reversal source crystal resonance break. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to combine the chaos reversal of the chaos eye technique with the power of the blood oath, forming a silver genesis flame blade while incorporating source crystal resonance into the flame blade, forming a massive energy channel that surged towards the guarding barrier. The flame blade precisely pierced the barrier, which began to gradually dissipate, forming an energy channel. However, at that moment the group of chaotic beasts was already closing in, charging towards the two. Genesis Guard open. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to activate the Genesis Guard of the Chaos Eye technique. A silver barrier blocked the attacks of the chaotic beasts while converting chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his depletion. Simultaneously, he sensed Zishui's illusionary fluctuations, Sharingan Kamui. Jishui concentrated his mind using the Sharingan illusion to draw in the chaotic beasts, forming an illusionary vortex that trapped the chaotic beasts, preventing their spread. Huang Bin took the opportunity to focus his mind using the chaos returning to origin ability to enhance the eye technique, forming an energy channel that surged towards the space-time rift. However, at that moment the space-time rift suddenly emitted a powerful wave of chaotic energy. The chaos source crystal core deep within the rift was absorbing chaotic energy, forming an energy barrier while simultaneously summoning chaotic beasts to attack. The strength of the chaotic beasts was even stronger than before, possessing the ability of energy penetration capable of piercing through the Genesis Guard's defenses. Be careful, the core is starting to counterattack. Jishui shouted, concentrating his mind to sense the attacks of the chaotic beasts. Their energy penetration ability could pierce through the Genesis Guard, requiring the use of Sharingan Kamui to form an illusionary barrier to resist the attacks. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the attacks of the chaotic beasts. Their energy penetration ability could pierce through the Genesis Guard, requiring the use of chaos returning to origin to form an energy shield to resist the attacks while using the Genesis flame blade to break the core's energy barrier. Chaos returning to origin, Genesis flame blade break. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to combine the chaos returning to origin ability with the Genesis flame blade, forming a silver energy shield while infusing the power of the blood oath into the flame blade, creating a massive Genesis flame blade that surged towards the core's energy barrier. The flame blade accurately pierced through the barrier, which began to gradually dissipate. However, at that moment the chaotic beasts had already closed in, charging towards the two. Sharingan Kamui illusionary barrier. Jishui shouted, concentrating his mind to form an illusionary barrier using the Sharingan illusion, blocking the attacks of the chaotic beasts while converting chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his depletion. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the position of the core. The core's energy barrier was gradually dissipating and the power of the chaos beast guarding array was also weakening. However, at that moment a stronger wave of chaotic energy suddenly emanated from deep within the space-time rift. The avatar of the Lord of Chaos was arriving carrying the Chaos Core armor which could withstand attacks from my techniques, and possibly possessing summoning abilities to summon even stronger chaotic beasts. Not good, the avatar is coming. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he concentrated his mind to sense the position of the avatar. The Chaos Core armor it carried could withstand attacks from my techniques, requiring the use of the Chaos Returning to Origin ability to break the armor, while using the Genesis Flame Blade to break the core's defenses, completing the final battle. Deep within the rift of time and space, the avatar of the Lord of Chaos approached, wielding the Chaos Core armor which shimmered with dark purple chaotic energy capable of resisting I techniques. Meanwhile, the avatar focused its mind to summon a more powerful horde of chaotic beasts who possessed the ability of energy penetration and surged towards the two. Huang Bin concentrated to sense the position of the avatar. Knowing that the Chaos Core armor could withstand I technique attacks, he needed to rely on the ability of Chaos Reversion to break the armor, while using Genesis Flame Blade to penetrate the core defenses, completing the final showdown. Shishui, let's work together. Huang Bin shouted with a low voice, concentrating to combine the Chaos Reversion of the Chaotic Eye technique with the power of Blood Oaths to form a Silver Genesis Flame Blade, while simultaneously integrating Source Crystal Resonance into the Flame Blade, creating a Source Crystal Detonation Array. The silver array unfolded deep within the rift, its center pointing directly at the avatar of the Lord of Chaos. Shishui focused to sense the avatar's attack. Understanding that the avatar's energy penetration ability could pierce the Genesis Guardian, he needed to use Sharingan Kamui to create an illusion barrier while linking the Sharingan illusion with Huang Bin's consciousness to assist him in precisely controlling the detonation rhythm and avoiding energy backlash. Sharingan Kamui mental link. Shishui whispered, concentrating to form a mental link using the Sharingan illusion connecting to Huang Bin's consciousness while creating an illusion barrier to block the attacks from the chaotic beast horde. Huang Bin sensed Shishui's mental fluctuations, concentrating to combine Chaos Reversion with Genesis Flame Blade to form a massive energy vortex trapping the chaotic beast horde while transforming chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his depletion. At that moment, the avatar let out a furious roar, concentrating to infuse chaotic energy into the Chaos Core armor, which emitted a dark purple glow, forming a rebound barrier that reflected Huang Bin's Eye technique attack, while the avatar focused to summon an even stronger horde of chaotic beasts charging directly at the two. Chaos Reversion Break. Huang Bin shouted angrily, concentrating to transform the ability of Chaos Reversion into his own power to dismantle the rebound barrier, while using the Genesis Flame Blade to create an energy channel that surged towards the avatar of the Lord of Chaos. The flame blade accurately pierced through the armor, which began to gradually dissipate, but at that moment the avatar focused to infuse chaotic energy into the core, which emitted a powerful chaotic energy wave, forming a chaotic torrent that surged towards the two. Genesis Guardian activate. Huang Bin shouted angrily, concentrating to activate the Genesis Guardian of the Chaotic Eye technique as the silver barrier blocked the attack of the chaotic torrent, while transforming chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish his depletion. Simultaneously, he sensed Shishui's illusion fluctuations, Sharingan Kamui illusion vortex. Shishui concentrated, using the Sharingan illusion to draw in the chaotic beast horde, forming an illusion vortex that trapped the chaotic beasts, preventing their spread. Taking advantage of the moment, Huang Bin concentrated to use Chaos Reversion to break the core's energy barrier while forming a Source Crystal Detonation Array with the Genesis Flame Blade directing its center straight at the core. Source Crystal Detonation activate. Huang Bin shouted angrily, concentrating to combine the Source Crystal Detonation Array with Chaos Reversion, forming a massive silver energy vortex that enveloped the core while transforming chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish consumption. Just then a tremendous rumble echoed from the rift in time and space. The rift began to collapse due to the core's energy fluctuations, with debris continuously falling as chaotic energy turbulence grew stronger, and the entire rift was heading towards destruction. Quick, we must complete the ceiling before the rift collapses. Shishui shouted softly, concentrating to sense the chaotic ceiling array and the chaotic beast guardian array. Both the Chaos Ceiling Array and the Chaotic Beast Guardian Array needed to be dismantled simultaneously. Huang Bin was responsible for breaking the Chaotic Ceiling Array, while Shishui was tasked with trapping the Chaotic Beast Horde, forming a ceiling channel. Huang Bin concentrated to sense the structure of the Ceiling Array. The Ceiling Array was composed of Chaos Runes that could absorb chaotic energy, forming an energy barrier. He needed to use chaos reversion to break the runes while utilizing the Genesis flame blade to create an energy channel to dismantle the seal. At the same time, he sensed that the power of the Chaotic Beast Guardian array was gradually increasing as the chaotic beasts were slowly awakening. Chaos Reversion Genesis Flame Blade Break. Huang Bin shouted angrily, concentrating to combine the ability of Chaos Reversion with the Genesis Flame Blade, forming a silver Genesis Flame Blade that surged towards the chaotic sealing array. The flame blade accurately pierced through the sealing runes, which began to gradually dissipate, but at that moment the chaotic beast horde had already closed in, charging directly towards the two. Sharingan Kamei Sealing Channel. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating to form a sealing channel using the Sharingan illusion, while trapping the chaotic beast horde to prevent their attacks on Huang Bin. Taking advantage of the moment, Huang Bin concentrated to use Chaos Reversion to dismantle the sealing runes while forming a Source Crystal Detonation array with the Genesis Flame Blade directing its center straight at the core. Source Crystal Detonation Seal. Huang Bin shouted angrily, concentrating to combine the Source Crystal Detonation array with Chaos Reversion, forming a massive silver energy vortex that enveloped the core while transforming chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish consumption. Just then the speed of the rift's collapse increased dramatically, with debris continuously falling and chaotic energy turbulence growing stronger, heading towards destruction. Hurry, complete the sealing. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating to maintain the sealing channel while using the Sharingan illusion to form an illusion barrier to block the falling debris. Huang Bin concentrated to sense the position of the core. The energy barrier of the core was gradually dissipating and the power of the Chaotic Beast Guardian array was also diminishing. But at that moment the avatar focused to infuse the last of the chaotic energy into the core, which emitted a powerful chaotic energy wave, forming a chaotic torrent that surged towards the two. Genesis Guardian Timespace Sealing. Huang Bin shouted angrily, concentrating to activate the Genesis Guardian of the Chaotic Eye technique, while merging the Timespace Sealing ability into the Guardian. The silver barrier blocked the attack of the chaotic torrent, while forming a timespace barrier to slow the collapse of the rift. At the same time, he concentrated to combine the Source Crystal Detonation array with Chaos Reversion, forming a massive silver energy vortex that enveloped the core. The core began to gradually disintegrate, and the avatar of the Lord of Chaos let out a scream as it began to dissipate. Just then the Source Crystal fragments fully fused as Huang Bin's Chaotic Eye technique merged with the power of Blood Oaths and the power of creation, awakening the ultimate form Chaos Genesis Eye, with silver and dark purple light intertwining in his pupils, forming chaos runes possessing the three major abilities of Genesis Domain, Chaos Reversal, and Timespace Sealing. Chaos Genesis Eye activate. Huang Bin whispered, concentrating to combine Chaos Reversal with Timespace Sealing, forming a silver Timespace Sealing array that completely enveloped the core of the avatar of the Lord of Chaos. The core gradually disintegrated and the avatar completely vanished while the chaotic energy of the entire rift began to dissipate. Just then the speed of the rift's collapse increased dramatically, with debris continuously falling and chaotic energy turbulence growing stronger, heading towards destruction. Run! Jishui shouted softly, concentrating to sense the escape route, only to find that the escape route was blocked by a guardian barrier formed by the remnants of chaotic beasts. Huang Bin concentrated to sense the barrier on the escape route. The barrier could resist Eye technique attacks but could be broken through Chaos Reversal. He also needed to utilize Source Crystal Resonance to form an energy channel for a safe escape. Chaos Reversal Source Crystal Resonance Break. Huang Bin shouted angrily, concentrating to combine the Chaos Reversal of the Chaotic Eye technique with the power of Blood Oaths to form a silver Genesis Flame Blade, while integrating Source Crystal Resonance into the Flame Blade, creating a massive energy channel that surged towards the Guardian barrier. The Flame Blade accurately pierced through the barrier, which began to gradually dissipate, forming the energy channel. But at that moment the speed of the rift's collapse increased dramatically, with debris continuously falling and chaotic energy turbulence growing stronger. Run! Huang Bin shouted softly, concentrating to form a barrier using Genesis Guardian to block the falling debris while sensing the condition of the energy channel. The channel was gradually collapsing and they needed to evacuate quickly. The two immediately dashed towards the energy channel, but at that moment the core fragment of the avatar of the Lord of Chaos suddenly dissipated, forming a chaos crystal that fell into the depths of the rift, emanating faint chaotic energy fluctuations. Not good. Chaos crystal. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he concentrated to sense the position of the chaos crystal, concerned that the crystal might be obtained by others, triggering a new crisis. The rumbling sound of the space-time rift collapsing gradually faded away as fragments of stone and chaotic energy intertwined into a swirling mist of chaos. Huang Bin and Jishui stood on the remnants of the ridge. Beneath them the chaotic energy surged, and the original position of the rift had been replaced by a continuously twisting chaotic vein. Silver and dark purple energies interlaced within the vein, forming meandering light bands. Occasionally chaotic crystals would emerge from the vein, floating in midair, emanating a faint yet dangerous glow. Is this what it looks like after the rift collapses? Jishui crouched down, gathering chakra at his fingertips, gently touching a strand of chaotic energy. The moment the energy made contact with the chakra, it transformed into tiny points of light flowing into his body through his fingertips, bringing a tingling sensation yet harboring a force of erosion. Huang Bin closed his eyes, perceiving the surroundings with the ultimate form chaos creation eye. The silver and dark purple glow intertwined in his pupils, the structure of the chaotic vein, the location of the chaotic crystals, and even the faint fluctuations emanating from deep within the vein were all vividly presented in his consciousness. His brow furrowed slightly. The chaotic energy has merged with the vein. These crystals can enhance eye techniques, but they will also trigger chaotic backlash. In the recent battle, my eye techniques have already begun to weaken. As soon as he finished speaking, a trace of blood seeped from the corner of his eye and the glow in his pupils dimmed slightly. Jishui immediately sensed something was amiss, raising his hand to press on Huang Bin's shoulder, forming a gentle spiritual shield with the Sharingan illusion protecting Huang Bin's consciousness. It's the backlash of the eye technique. First stabilize the eye technique with chakra, then find a way to obtain the chaotic crystals. Huang Bin nodded, concentrating his spirit to dissolve the backlash with the chaos reversal ability. Backlash from the eye technique would erode the technique itself, requiring either chaotic energy or pure energy to stabilize. At this moment, the chaotic energy within the vein was just suitable to serve as a stabilizer. He drew a wisp of chaotic energy into his body, transforming it into pure energy with the chaos return to origin ability, replenishing the consumption of the eye technique. While stabilizing its power, the blood at the corner of his eye gradually receded, and the glow in his pupils became bright once more. At that moment, a chaotic crystal floating in midair suddenly emitted a brilliant light, the radiance coalescing into a beam pointing deep into the chaotic vein. Huang Bin focused his spirit using the ultimate form chaos creation eye to sense the direction indicated by the beam. At the end of the beam was a massive energy vortex within which faint chaotic runes flickered, seemingly related to the source of the Chaos Lord. This is a clue. Huang Bin opened his eyes, the glow in his pupils flickering. The chaotic crystals contain the source secret language, which requires my eye technique to resonate with your illusion to perceive the secret language. The secret language pointed to the source of chaos while also hinting that there were chaos guardians there. Jishui concentrated his spirit to sense the area of the chaotic vein. The vein was divided into 3 areas: the chaotic wasteland, where the ground was barren, inhabited by low-tier chaotic beasts; the vein canyon with complex terrain and stronger chaotic energy, inhabited by mid-tier chaotic beasts; and the energy core area with a sealing remnant array capable of absorbing chaotic energy to form an energy barrier where high-tier chaotic beasts resided. He also sensed the chaotic energy fluctuations in the energy core area were intense, as if there was a power of the Chaos Guardians. The new map is divided into 3 areas. The energy core area has a sealing remnant array and chaotic guardians. Jishui said softly, raising his hand to sense the fluctuations of the chaotic vein. The chaotic crystals can enhance eye techniques, but one must be cautious of the attacks from chaotic beasts while acquiring them, and also avoid the erosion of chaotic energy. Huang Bin focused his spirit to sense the position of the chaotic beasts. The chaotic beasts in the chaotic wasteland possessed energy penetration abilities capable of piercing through chakra shields. Chaotic beasts in the vein canyon had space-time traversal abilities able to evade attacks, while chaotic beasts in the energy core area had chaotic armor able to withstand eye technique attacks. To obtain the chaotic crystals, one must first defeat the chaotic beasts. Huang Bin said in a low voice, concentrating his spirit to deploy the creation domain of the ultimate form chaos creation eye, the silver domain enveloping the surroundings, forming an energy barrier to resist the erosion of chaotic energy while sensing the position of the chaotic beasts. Just then a low growl came from the direction of the chaotic wasteland. Several low-tier chaotic beasts charged towards the 2, their bodies covered in dark purple chaotic energy capable of penetrating chakra shields rushing straight at them. Be careful, the chaotic beasts can penetrate the shields. Jishui shouted, concentrating his spirit to form an illusion barrier with the Sharingan illusion to block the chaotic beast's attack while using Sharingan Kamui to create an energy vortex that pulled the chaotic beasts into the illusion space, forming an illusion vortex to trap the chaotic beasts. Seizing the opportunity, Huang Bin concentrated his spirit to use the chaos reversal ability of the chaos creation eye to break through the chaotic beast's energy penetration, while forming an energy passage with creation fire blade charging straight at the chaotic beasts. The fire blade accurately pierced the core of the chaotic beast, which let out a mournful scream, gradually dissipating, leaving behind a chaotic crystal. Obtain the chaotic crystal. Huang Bin shouted in a low voice, concentrating his spirit to draw the chaotic crystal into his body. The chaotic crystal merged with the eye technique, enhancing its power, while alleviating the chaotic backlash. At that moment, the energy fluctuations deep within the chaotic veins suddenly intensified. The ceiling remnant array in the energy core area emitted a brilliant light shooting straight into the sky, as if the power of the Chaos Guardians was awakening. Not good, the Chaos Guardians are awakening. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he concentrated his spirit to sense the location of the energy core area. The Guardians possess three major abilities: chaotic armor, chaotic summoning, and space-time traversal, able to summon hordes of chaotic beasts while traversing through chaotic energy to evade attacks. Moreover, their core could absorb chaotic energy to form a backlash barrier which must be broken to defeat the Guardians. First obtain the chaotic crystals, then head to the energy core area. Jishui shouted, concentrating his spirit to form a spiritual link with the Sharingan illusion, linking Huang Bin's consciousness while sensing the position of the chaotic crystals. The two immediately sped towards the location of the chaotic crystals, with chaotic energy surging behind them, and the awakening Chaos Guardians ahead. A new crisis was imminent. The surface of the chaotic wasteland appears solid, yet it conceals countless energy fissures within which dark purple chaotic energy surges. Huang Bin and Jishui cautiously traversed the wasteland, each step taken with utmost care to avoid stepping on the fissures. Just then a loader chaotic beast sprang out from a fissure, its body covered in chaotic energy, charging straight at the two of them. Be careful, energy fissure. Huang Bin shouted in a low voice, focusing his mind to sense the fissure's location with his ultimate form Chaotic Genesis Eye, while forming an energy shield with the chaotic reversal ability to block the beast's attack. However, at that moment the chaotic beast stepped on a fissure, causing a violent eruption of chaotic energy which possessed the ability of chaotic erosion, surging towards the two and weakening their chakra and ocular techniques. Sharingan Kamui Mental Link. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating his mind to form a mental link with the Sharingan Genjutsu, connecting with Huang Bin's consciousness while also creating a Genjutsu barrier to block the chaotic energy's erosion and sense the chaotic beast's location. Huang Bin concentrated, sensing the location of the chaotic beast hide. The Vanguard Beast Group possessed the ability of energy penetration, the Core Beast Group had chaotic armor, and the Summoning Beast Group had time-space traversal abilities requiring them to break through the coordinated attacks of the three waves of beasts. At the same time he sensed the location of the chaotic crystals, some of which were near the fissures, and to acquire them they first needed to defeat the chaotic beasts while avoiding stepping on the fissures. The chaotic beast tide is coming, we must break through the three waves of beasts. Huang Bin roared, focusing his mind to form a massive Genesis vortex with his ultimate form Chaotic Genesis Eye, the vortex absorbing the surrounding chaotic energy, and creating an energy passage that surged towards the Vanguard Beast Group. However, at that moment the Vanguard Beast Group focused their spirits and infused chaotic energy into energy penetration, forming an energy barrier that blocked the attack of the Genesis vortex. Chaotic Reversal Break. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his mind to combine the chaotic reversal of the chaotic ocular technique with the Genesis vortex, forming a silver energy passage that surged straight towards the core of the Vanguard Beast Group. Just then the Core Beast Group suddenly closed in, their bodies covered in chaotic armor that could withstand ocular technique attacks, while they concentrated their minds to infuse chaotic energy into the armor, forming a rebound barrier that reflected the attack of the Genesis vortex. Sharingan Kamui Genjutsu Barrier. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating his mind to create a powerful Genjutsu barrier with the Sharingan blocking the attack of the rebound barrier while forming a Genjutsu vortex to trap the Core Beast Group and prevent its spread. Huang Bin seized the opportunity to concentrate his mind using chaotic reversal to break through the chaotic armor of the Core Beast Group, while forming an energy passage with Genesis Fire Blade surging straight towards the core beast group. Genesis Fire Blade break. Huang Bin roared, focusing his mind to combine the Genesis Fire Blade with Chaotic Return, forming a massive silver fire blade that surged towards the core beast group. The fire blade accurately pierced through the chaotic armor, which began to gradually dissipate, and the core beast group let out a wail as it slowly faded away, leaving behind several chaotic crystals. Acquire the chaotic crystals. Huang Bin shouted softly, concentrating his mind to draw the chaotic crystals into his body, which merged with his ocular technique, enhancing its power while alleviating the chaotic backlash. Just then the summoning beast group suddenly launched an attack capable of time-space traversal, appearing instantaneously behind the two, charging straight at them. Huang Bin concentrated his mind, sensing the location of the summoning beast group. They could traverse through chaotic energy to evade attacks, needing to rely on the time-space seal ability of the Chaotic Genesis Eye to break through the time-space traversal. Chaotic Genesis Eye time-space seal activate. Huang Bin roared, focusing his mind to activate the time-space seal ability of the ocular technique, a silver barrier enveloping the surroundings, forming a time-space barrier that trapped the summoning beast group while breaking its time-space traversal ability. Jishui took the opportunity to concentrate his mind using Sharingan Genjutsu to form a Genjutsu vortex, drawing the summoning beast group into the Genjutsu space, forming an energy vortex that trapped the beasts. Huang Bin seized the chance to concentrate his mind using chaotic reversal to break through the core defenses of the summoning beast group, while forming an energy passage with Genesis Fire Blade surging straight towards the summoning beast group. The fire blade accurately pierced through the core of the summoning beast group, which let out a scream and gradually dissipated, leaving behind several chaotic crystals. The chaotic beast tide has been broken. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating his mind to sense the location of the chaotic crystals while also sensing the direction of the earth vein canyon. The canyon was at the end of the chaotic wasteland, and its entrance had a sealing remnant array composed of chaotic runes that could absorb chaotic energy, forming an energy barrier resistant to ocular technique attacks, requiring them to break the runes to enter the canyon. The earth vein canyon has a sealing remnant array. We need to break the runes to enter. Jishui said softly, concentrating his mind to perceive the structure of the remnant array. The core of the remnant array possessed a rebound mechanism where breaking the runes would trigger a chaotic energy backlash, requiring the use of chaotic crystals or earth vein energy to stabilize the ocular technique, while avoiding the attacks of the chaotic beasts. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the location of the sealing remnant array. It was composed of 3 chaotic runes, and they needed to break all 3 runes simultaneously to dismantle the barrier. At the same time, he sensed the location of the chaotic crystals, some of which were located around the remnant array, and to acquire them, they must first break the remnant array. Break the sealing remnant array to acquire the chaotic crystals. Huang Bin shouted softly, concentrating his mind to form a massive Genesis vortex with his ultimate form, Chaotic Genesis Eye, the vortex absorbing the surrounding chaotic energy to create an energy passage surging towards the sealing remnant array. However, at that moment the remnant array suddenly emitted a strong light, and the 3 chaotic runes formed a rebound barrier that reflected the attack of the Genesis vortex while triggering a chaotic energy backlash that surged towards the 2. Sharingan Kamui Mental Link. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating his mind to form a mental link with the Sharingan Genjutsu, connecting with Huang Bin's consciousness while forming a Genjutsu barrier to block the attack of the rebound barrier, and sensing the location of the chaotic crystals. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to sense the location of the chaotic crystals. They were located around the remnant array, and to acquire them they first needed to break the remnant array while avoiding the chaotic energy backlash. At the same time, he sensed that the Lord of Chaos' main body was perceiving their location through chaotic energy resonance, preparing to dispatch a stronger chaotic beast group to lay an ambush in the earth vein canyon, while also activating the chaotic summoning array to summon chaotic guardians for assistance in the attack. The Lord of Chaos is sensing our location. There's an ambush in the earth vein canyon. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he concentrated his mind to combine the chaotic reversal ability with the Genesis vortex, forming a silver energy passage surging towards the sealing remnant array. Just then chaotic energy backlash surged towards him, and a trace of blood seeped from the corner of Huang Bin's eye, causing the light in his pupils to dim slightly. Hurry, break the sealing remnant array. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating his mind to form a genjutsu vortex with the Sharingan, trapping the chaotic energy backlash while sensing the location of the chaotic crystals. Huang Bin concentrated his mind to use chaotic reversal to break through the 3 chaotic runes while forming an energy passage with Genesis Fire Blade surging towards the ceiling remnant array. The fire blade accurately pierced through the chaotic runes, which began to gradually dissipate, and the ceiling remnant array was broken, the energy barrier slowly vanishing with the chaotic crystals floating in midair emitting a faint glow. Acquire the chaotic crystals. Huang Bin shouted softly, concentrating his mind to draw the chaotic crystals into his body, which merged with his ocular technique, enhancing its power while alleviating the chaotic backlash. Just then a low rumbling sound came from the direction of the Earth Vein Canyon, and the roars of the chaotic beasts grew louder, as if a stronger chaotic beast group was closing in. Not good, the chaotic beast group is laying in ambush. Huang Bin's expression darkened as he concentrated his mind to sense the location of the Earth Vein Canyon. There was a stronger chaotic beast group at the entrance, and the chaotic summoning array was being activated with the presence of the chaotic guardians gradually increasing. Quick, head to the Earth Vein Canyon. Jishui shouted softly, concentrating his mind to form a mental link with the Sharingan, connecting with Huang Bin's consciousness while sensing the evacuation route. The two immediately rushed towards the Earth Vein Canyon, pursued by the ever-approaching chaotic beast group, while ahead lay the activated chaotic summoning array with new dangers looming. At the entrance of the Earth Vein Canyon, the 3 layers of chaotic runes sealing the remnants of the array emitted a dark purple glow. The runes interconnected, forming a solid energy closed loop that completely sealed the entrance to the canyon. Huang Bin and Jishui stood in front of the remnants of the array, sensing the energy shield at the core of the array and the chaotic backlash mechanism, while also detecting the chaotic beast horde approaching from deep within the canyon, their roars growing closer. The sealing array must be simultaneously cracked by 3 runes, otherwise it will trigger a backlash. Huang Bin concentrated, using his ultimate form Chaotic Genesis Eye to perceive the structure of the runes as glimmers of silver and dark purple light interwove in his pupils, precisely locking onto the positions of the 3 runes. Just then the chaotic beast horde suddenly launched an attack. The melee beasts covered in chaotic armor charged directly at the 2. The ranged beasts gathered energy penetration from afar, forming beams of energy that shot towards the remnants of the array. The summoning beasts utilized time-space traversing, instantaneously appearing behind the 2, encircling them. Sharingan Kamui Illusion Barrier. Jishui let out a low shout, concentrating to form a powerful illusion barrier with the Sharingan illusion blocking the energy beams from the ranged beasts and the attacks from the melee beasts, while simultaneously creating an illusion vortex that trapped the summoning beasts, preventing their spread. At that moment the core of the remnants of the array suddenly emitted a strong light, and the 3 chaotic runes formed a chaotic backlash surging towards the 2, weakening their eye techniques and chakra power. Chaotic reversal, break the backlash. Huang Bin roared, concentrating his energy to resolve the backlash with his chaotic reversal ability, while transforming chaotic energy into pure energy to replenish the consumption of his eye technique. A trace of blood seeped from the corner of his eye and the light in his pupils dimmed slightly, but he still concentrated to sense the positions of the 3 runes. Focus your spirit, crack the runes simultaneously. Huang Bin let out a low shout, concentrating to form a massive Genesis vortex with his ultimate form Chaotic Genesis Eye, absorbing the surrounding chaotic energy to create an energy channel that surged towards the 3 runes. But just then the melee beasts broke through the illusion barrier and charged directly at Huang Bin. The chaotic armor was able to withstand the eye technique's attacks while concentrating to inject chaotic energy into the armor, forming a backlash barrier that rebounded the attack of the Genesis vortex. Sharingan Kamui Spiritual Link. Jishui let out a low shout, concentrating to form a spiritual link with the Sharingan illusion, linking Huang Bin's consciousness while simultaneously creating an illusion vortex to trap the melee beasts and prevent them from interfering with Huang Bin's cracking of the runes. At the same time, he focused his spirit to combine the Sharingan illusion with the illusion barrier, forming a dual barrier to block the time-space traversing attacks from the summoning beasts. Huang Bin concentrated to sense the positions of the 3 runes. The cracking must proceed simultaneously while avoiding the beast horde's attacks. He focused combining the chaotic reversal of the chaotic Genesis Eye with the Genesis Vortex, forming 3 silvery energy channels that surged towards the 3 runes while stabilizing the power of his eye technique with the chaotic return ability to avoid the backlash's erosion. Genesis Vortex Break. Huang Bin roared, concentrating to precisely pierce the 3 chaotic runes with the 3 energy channels. The runes began to gradually dissipate, breaking the energy closed loops sealing the remnants of the array, and the energy barrier gradually weakened. But just then the ranged beasts concentrated and infused energy penetration into the core of the remnants of the array, forming an energy barrier that blocked the attack from the Genesis Vortex while triggering a more intense chaotic backlash that surged towards the 2. Chaotic Reversal. Break the barrier. Huang Bin roared, concentrating to combine the chaotic reversal of his chaotic eye technique with the Genesis Vortex, forming a silvery energy channel that surged towards the energy barrier. At the same time, he focused on sensing the positions of the chaotic crystals, some of which were located at the core of the remnants of the array, and needed to be obtained before cracking the barrier. Sharingan Kamui Illusion Vortex. Jishui let out a low shout, concentrating to form an illusion vortex with the Sharingan illusion, trapping the ranged beasts to prevent them from interfering with Huang Bin's cracking of the barrier, while forming a spiritual link to assist Huang Bin in stabilizing the power of his eye technique. Huang Bin focused, sensing the positions of the chaotic crystals. These crystals were located at the core of the remnants of the array, and required cracking the barrier first, while avoiding chaotic energy backlash. At the same time, he sensed that the chaotic beast horde was continuously closing in, their roars growing ever louder. Chaotic crystals. Obtain them. Huang Bin roared, concentrating to crack the energy barrier with chaotic reversal, while forming an energy channel with Genesis Fire Blade charging directly towards the chaotic crystals. But just then the summoning beasts used time-space traversing to instantly appear near the core of the remnants of the array, charging straight for the chaotic crystals, attempting to seize them. Genesis Fire Blade Break. Huang Bin roared, concentrating to combine the Genesis Fire Blade with chaotic return, forming a massive silvery fire blade that surged towards the summoning beasts. The fire blade precisely pierced the core of the chaotic beast horde, which let out a scream as they gradually dissipated, leaving the chaotic crystal suspended in midair, emitting a faint glow. Obtain the chaotic crystal. Huang Bin let out a low shout, concentrating to draw the chaotic crystal into his body. The crystal merged with his eye technique, enhancing its power while alleviating the chaotic backlash. At that moment, the energy barrier sealing the remnants of the array completely dissipated, revealing the earth vein node at the core of the remnants, which emitted a silvery glow. Huang Bin concentrated to sense the position of the node. It needed to be activated with the chaotic crystal while avoiding the attacks from the chaotic beasts, and the channel had to be opened before the energy resonance occurred. Activate the earth vein node. Open the canyon passage. Huang Bin let out a low shout, concentrating to insert the chaotic crystal into the earth vein node while forming a Genesis Vortex with the chaotic Genesis Eye to absorb chaotic energy and stabilize the node. But just then the earth vein node emitted a strong light, forming an energy resonance. The resonance sound surged into the clouds while attracting a more powerful chaotic beast horde, their roars growing ever closer. The chaotic beast horde is closing and quickly open the passage. Jishui let out a low shout, concentrating to form an illusion barrier with the Sharingan illusion to block the attacks from the chaotic beasts while forming a spiritual link to assist Huang Bin in stabilizing the node. Huang Bin concentrated to inject chaotic energy into the earth vein node while using chaotic reversal to crack the node's energy shield, forming an energy channel. With a loud rumble, the passage of the earth vein canyon was opened, radiating silver and dark purple light, faintly revealing the chaotic beast horde deep within the canyon. The passage is open, hurry and go. Huang Bin let out a low shout, concentrating to sense the position deep within the canyon, while also sensing the approach of the chaotic beasts. Just then a strong surge of chaotic energy suddenly erupted from the passage, hiding chaotic core fragments within the energy. The fragments possessed the ability of chaotic erosion, charging directly at the two while the chaotic beasts erupted from the passage, roaring towards them. Chaotic core fragments, be careful. Huang Bin's expression darkened, concentrating to form Genesis Guardian with his ultimate form Chaotic Genesis Eye, creating an energy barrier to block the erosion of the chaotic core fragments, while using chaotic reversal to break through the core defenses of the fragments, forming an energy channel. Sharingan Kamui Illusion Vortex. Jishui let out a low shout, concentrating to form an illusion vortex with the Sharingan illusion, trapping the chaotic beasts to prevent their spread while forming a spiritual link to assist Huang Bin in resisting the erosion of the fragments. Huang Bin concentrated to draw the chaotic core fragments into his body. The fragments merged with his eye technique, enhancing its power while alleviating the chaotic backlash. At the same time, he focused using the chaotic Genesis Eye to form a Genesis vortex, absorbing chaotic energy, stabilizing the passage and creating a breakthrough channel. Open the canyon passage retreat. Huang Bin roared, concentrating to inject chaotic energy into the passage, forming an energy channel that surged towards the depths of the canyon. The two immediately dashed towards the passage, pursued by the ever-approaching chaotic beasts and chaotic core fragments, while ahead lay the unknown depths of the canyon where new crises were looming.